Nomad at Night, starring the one and only Nomad.
Yo, Nomaniacs. Welcome to Nomad at Night. I am your friendly host, Nomad, and to my right is my guy, the Canuck. Today, we're going to have a pretty laid-back show, not just because you only see me and the Canuck on stage. Nick will be here. The dude will be here later. But I think this setting right now, because I always feel like we ought to talk to the chat a little bit more. I limited my notes and the things that I want to talk about just for that. Because I know one thing, being part of Twitter. If you haven't followed me on Nomad Network, and probably should do that, man. We got some pretty good takes on there at Nomad Network and on Twitter. Listen, I know. There's some bad stuff coming out of Hallis Hall and training camp. Doesn't sound too good. You know what I mean? And this is, I would caution people, man. This is training camp. This is week 3. This is week 3 of training camp, and people expect a little bit more. And I was going to call one of my teammates today just to see, because I don't remember, a training camp being involved in a training camp, especially as a freshman. And at week 3, we were still having a lot of hiccups. And I say that, I preface that statement by saying this. I walked into in my freshman year, I walked into a school with all new coaches, new offense, new defense. The only good thing about the situation that I was being put in is that there was a 4-3 being installed, and I was fluent in the 4-3 in high school. So I walked in, and me and a handful of other guys walked in, and we were like, fish to water. We really flowed in that defense because we knew what we were doing. But it was something different for a lot of other guys out there. So that being said, I just want to remind everybody that this is a new offense they're installing. There's guys hurt. Now that's 2 things, and 3. It's 3 weeks into it, and I can imagine there still be some hiccups. The guys not being tied in all the way and not being locked in, and all the operational stuff. But it's starting, and I know a lot of people feel like this too. It's probably starting to alarm a lot of people, and that's kind of what we're here to talk about tonight. Plus, what we saw and what we expect coming up with this next Buffalo Bills game. So before we get all the way into it, man, let me pass it on to the Canuck. And give out some pleasantries before we get cut.
Hey, that's me. What it do, Bears fans? It's a Sunday. Hope you got your drinks. Cheers, Bears fans across the board. Give you guys a little bit of love. We got Jay Grizz in the building. AC Adams with us. Charles Johnson. How's it going, Charles? Brian Handrum. Why aren't you backstage? Brian Deuce 1FX is with us. That's my homie Deuce. You'll see a lot more of him when we do when we start to do that super flex. Trust me. Aunt Moss is with us. My guy Plank, number 1 no maniac. Plank, what it do? Say what's up to hug a sheep, Plank, for me, bro. Who else we got? Up there? Naj, Jay Grizz. I catch Jay Grizz earlier. I might have caught Jay Grizz. Mr. Mayhem's with us. King Booker World, my dude. What it do, my dude? Geez, man, I think I've gone through just about everybody. Oh, Black Diamond's with us early. What's cracking? What's cracking, Black Diamond? Leo Factor just jumped in the building. Hey, man, we're going to have ourselves some fun, chop it up, all Bears, all the time like we do every Sunday. And it's all the more special with some preseason action, Hall of Fame game action. We touched on a lot of that already, but, I'm going to start things out with this here, right? So I was a little bit down on the pass rush case scenario that I was watching in that Hall of Fame game. And then I went back and I looked at it myself again. And I realized something. We might have a pass rusher on this team, guys. Not to take anything away from Montez Sweat. Obviously, Montez Sweat is the guy. No questions. The Sweat effect is real. But I think we might have found another pass rusher if anybody was paying attention. So that one sack that was attributed to Byron Cowart, pardon me, that one sack in the game was more like a split sack, half sack, and the other half should have gone to a certain Austin Booker. By all means, y'all, go take another look at Austin Booker. He's not like moving forward. Let's all keep an eye on number 94. Number 94 might not be a joke, guys. He might be here to play for real. I saw him put some offensive linemen in the dirt a couple of times with a long arm. The guy has some tools. Kind of, he's using that length and then countering with a swim inside and or outside, which is beautiful. A lot of motor. I think he's got to improve a little bit on in the run game. The handling running backs and run plays. A little bit of work there, but again, I only got to see 2 snaps where he was instrumental on the run, and one was a beautiful play by Austin Booker. Keep your eyes peeled on number 94. And that's how we'll start the day out. Throw back at you, Nomad.
Well, since you started there, let me go there because I did get a chance to look at some tape and break it down a little bit. And we were talking. Remember, we were talking in game and during the post game. Like, man, I'm not seeing a whole lot of Booker. Is he even in there? And we were doing a whole bunch of talking in that way. Yeah. And that's why it's important. When you're doing a live broadcast in game, you're not going to see all the stuff that you need to see, period. That's the way it is. And by the time we got the post game, we hadn't had time to look at anything, but it was clear after giving a moment to look at that stuff, man. Austin Booker did comport himself well. What I liked about him is he was getting off the ball. Number one. Number two, he was getting off the ball and not thinking. He was just playing fast and not worrying about if he made a mistake. So he was really good at setting the edge. And then he did dent that pocket quite a few times, and he got in on the sack. So, I mean, Austin Booker in game 1 of a rookie season has shown me that, okay, definitely what you say, kid, we got to pay more attention to him, man. He's going to get a lot more snaps. They're going to want to see later on down the line when they're playing the team, and they want to put him and challenge him against some ones and see if he can duplicate what he did in that preseason game. They were playing with 2s. I got to say that they were playing against 2s, and that's
the point, though, right? Like that's the point, and that's why I was so taken aback by the lack of pass rush, and it's not that I was wrong. It's just that I wasn't keeping up with with them switching Dominique in and Austin Booker out and vice versa, right? That's just kind of what I was missing as they were going. But isolated, if you actually take the time to actually stare at 94 and what he's doing on the field, I was impressed. Right? I was actually impressed, y'all. Again, it is against the seconds, but that's where you should see that's where he should make his impression felt, and I think he did.
Yeah, it's looking at it live. I'm thinking back on it now, and I realized that they were getting rid of the ball fairly quick, in the first half, and then the second half they were kind of, letting some stuff develop downfield, and depending on who was in there. Dominique Robinson, too, also wasn't as bad on film as I thought he was. Now, it was just like Flu said. If anybody watched that presser, he was kind of complimentary towards Dominique Robinson. He was like, man, we saw some improvement out there. Really good at setting the edge. He was really, really good at that in that game. It was him getting around that corner and breaking that edge and getting around that corner and finishing his pass rush is what Flus said that they're working on him to get him better at that. You definitely saw that show up on film. He got stood up right there at that corner when it's time for you to turn around and get pointed towards that quarterback. He got stood up a couple of times. I noticed that in the film, but otherwise, man, there's a lot of things that defensive ends can do that won't show up necessarily on the stat sheet. Number one is setting the edge and funneling that run on the inside into your linebackers and your nickel or whoever's on the inside. And the next thing is, getting your hands up when passes are coming your way and tackling when the ball comes towards you. So there's a few things, people are going to look at that natural, that obvious thing. Did he get a sack? Did he get a quarterback hit? Did he get any hurries and all that kind of stuff? And that's important, but that's not the only thing in the world. And if you watch that film well enough, you can see he's bigger, he's stronger, and he played like it. And so it was a lot of complaining about Dominique Robinson in that end game and in that post game show we did afterwards. I'm not as mad. In fact, I'm more pleased than I was upset when I originally said it. I can speak that for myself. I saw more on film than I saw live in game.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't. It's just that, and you hit the nail on the head, man. It's just when you get washed out, what do you do? And I saw a fair amount of it with him last season too. I've seen it on the field with others, other defensive edge rushers, and you just got to wonder, what do you do? And some of these guys just motor and just keep going. And that was one of the things I was looking for when I looked at Booker. And there was a few times where it was like, okay, you're washed out, but oh wow, it's a run play, and you've now motored your way back into the center of the field and managed to make the tackle, right? Like that's the stuff that I'm seeing. But again, like, questions remain. We're not certain what was Dominique really being asked to do? Was he asked to really be an edge setter in that case scenario? And if that's really what he was doing, okay, he can set the edge.
I mean, I'm gonna take a quick little turn from this subject. We're gonna return to it in a minute, but let me get to some news. We did sign a cornerback, UDFA cornerback Ro Torrance from Arizona State. I think he was picked up by Seattle after the draft, and I don't know what happened, but the Bears were able to get their hands on him. He's 6'3", probably 205. Is a big corner, big, huge corner. Took a look at him and wondered why he ended up out there and available to the Bears. First thing that came to my mind is they have plenty of depth, and Seattle has some really good depth at cornerback. They draft well at that position, very well. You could tip your hat to Pete Carroll for over the years. I don't think he had anything to do with this draft, but he was in the room. So they're pretty laden at cornerback depth. Ro Torrance, I don't know exactly. I thought that because there was word coming out of camp that what's his name? Not Tyreek, but Terrell Smith had gotten hurt. And I was thinking maybe they picked him up for that, but he ended up out here at practice today.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. He made noise today, actually.
Right, a lot of noise.
Yeah.
And so, he's a really good-looking cornerback, fluid, pretty good skill set. It's not all. I mean, I didn't get to watch a whole lot of tape on him, but I got a good sense of what he brings to the table, and he's aware. And the thing that I could say really stood out about him, I don't know if he's going to make this team. Guys, don't ask me. They signed him. I imagine he was somebody on their radar anyway, and they got an opportunity after Seattle kind of cut him out, and they were just like, we want to bring him in anyway. You guys got to him before we did. We want to take a look at him. And I believe is really that. I think they just want to take a good look at this guy and see what he can bring to the table and see if he can compete. I think they want bigger corners. If they can get them, you can use longer corners on the perimeter, man. It does pay dividends. And so it's just going to be interesting to see what they do with him. Do I expect him to make the team with all those nice corners they have in there? It's a big ass hill to climb. I'll just tell you that. But he has some pretty good damn intangible. His name is Ro Torrance out of Arizona State. So I don't know if you saw that, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, I saw it. I heard about it, and all I could think of is like, man, like maybe hours before I was reading. I was reading about Terrell Smith showing up and showing out today, right? Like, so I was like, why would they go get another cornerback? That room is insanity.
It's just almost like Terrell Smith felt threatened because he was there.
Oh, Maybe that was it. He just instant fire lit under Terrell Smith.
I
He
don't
said,
know what it was, but
ain't nobody else coming in this room. Nobody else is allowed. I'm bouncing. I'm just saying that room is the most exclusive club in Chicago. I don't know how you get into that room, but I think we've been saying this. We think there might be a little wee bit of room for a Reddy Stewart as that nickel backup. Outside of that, I don't know. But what you're telling me here is, again, this is a 6'3". 6'3" cornerbacks don't just grow on trees. At 4'6", if that's what he's running, that's a little bit slower than what you might want. But speed isn't everything. Length can make up for a lot, y'all, especially when a ball's coming, being attempted to be passed over your head. If you got 2, 3, 4 inches of height and reach on a guy, sometimes that can negate speed. So we'll have to see, man. Good luck to Ro Torrance. I'm interested in seeing what he has in store. But man, I'm just saying, how do you get past a Terrell Smith on this, or a Reddy Stewart? I don't know, man.
Oh, he's not taking Terrell Smith's job.
I'm just saying, whose job is left to take?
Well, it depends, man. I don't know the contract status of, let's say, some of the other guys. It could be a Jaylen Jones on the roster or somebody. I don't keep up too much with the contracts, but it'd be interesting to say if one of those contracts are expiring. So if one of those contracts are expiring, one of those guys that have a pretty good placement on the team and they want to keep their options open and not have to pay that guy, let's take a look at some other guys before we let this guy go. I don't know, man, but that was an interesting pickup. But it leads me, first thing that came to my mind is he was a guy on their radar in the UDFA market, and they weren't able to land him. And they got an opportunity to bring him into their camp and put their eyes on this cat and see what he can bring to the table for the Bears. And I think that's exactly what's happening now. If he ends up, making somebody kind of a liability, that's good, because you want that kind of competition. Is it going to be Terrell Smith? Hell no. I think Terrell Smith's spot on this roster is locked. It might be some of those other fringe guys that might be, your Leon Joneses who look good on film too. Maybe just trying to boost that competition. I don't know. But he's a nice looking cornerback. Don Burr's right. He runs a 4.6. Let me tell you about the 40, man. 40 don't mean shit in the real game. In real game, in real live speed action, a 40 time don't mean shit. Is either you can keep up with your competition or you can't. And I didn't see him getting smoked when I was looking at him on film. Some pretty fast receivers he was dealing with. And he kept fades with all of them. And, you don't see a whole lot of him getting cooked. But, we'll see what happens with him, man. But the next thing I want to talk about is Peter LeBlanc. The guy we thought.
You're LeBlanc.
Yeah, he got the Ginsu, man. He got the Ginsu, man. So, yeah, that's right.
He's already chopped.
Peanut did run a 4.6, and how'd that turn out? Shit, so don't give me no shit about nobody's 40. 40 is a 40. Well, 40 time is a fucking 40 time. Can you play? That's all I give a damn about. So Peter LeBlanc, receiver out of, Louisiana, was cut. You know what I thought, kids? I thought they got him in camp. And I was just like, I thought his first problem would be in camp would be getting separation against an NFL cornerback. And I would be willing to bet money, dollars to dimes, that was his problem, was getting off of sticky one-on-one coverage and creating separation for himself consistently. So they gave him 3 weeks to be able to do that. Obviously, he couldn't. And boom, there he is on the chopping block.
I don't see you're at least being logical about it, right? Like you're finding a logical reason behind the Peter LeBlanc cut. Again, remember what I was saying about that cornerback room, right? Like, so there's bouncers all over Hallis Hall. I'm just saying right now they got a squad of bouncers. So one's working. The biggest bouncer of them all is working that cornerback room, but the guy who's working the wide receiver room, he's just like, he's a former UFC fighter. He's a little bit smaller. Anyways, I'm just saying the wide receiver room's crazy too. Imagine we just watched a preseason game where they decided, Velus Jones doesn't need any run today. I'm just saying, if Velus Jones didn't need any run on in a preseason game, in a Hall of Fame game, and we've got potentially 3 starters already, and Tyler Scott's going nowhere. I can see a Colin Johnson making this team, and I'm gonna say some real stuff. I'm sure we were gonna get there, and I can see a Colin Johnson getting on this team. And I hit it right after the show, right after the game, right after our watch party. I was like, did anybody see him on special teams? Did he play any special teams? Did he tackle anybody? Can he tackle? Yo, Colin Johnson could tackle, yo. He could tackle. He's 6'6". He will put his body out there and in there. So he's putting up that special teams love too, right? He's providing that extra special teams value that'll likely be his way, his door, his path right onto this squad, right into that room, past that bouncer. But unfortunately for Peter LeBlanc, is what it is, man. Sometimes sometimes you can't get in the club.
Well, they did. So what they did was they ended up cutting long snapper, brought in what's his name? Ro Torrance. Brought in Ro Torrance and then cut Peter LeBlanc and brought the long snapper
back.
Yeah. And so they're playing some kind of freaking game. They're playing some kind of game. Who knows? Peter LeBlanc could be out and gone for good, but who knows what their next move might be. But speaking of Velus, man, let me tell you, news is, and I got this directly from, I think, Alex Shapiro today. Velus was lined up with the ones today in the backfield.
What you talking about, Willis?
I mean, he was lined up in the backfield with the ones. I think they have a plan for him, and I think we're being hyper critical of him because he didn't play. And I think they're hiding him and kind of, they're in the lab with him and trying to create something, and they don't want to put it out there for the public just yet. That's what I think is going on. And that's it. If it was me, kids, being honest with you, that's exactly what the fuck I'd be doing. I wouldn't want anybody to really know. Matter of fact, I'd be freaking hard pressed to show the media that I even lined him up in the backfield because I don't want anybody to see that because it's going to get reported out. But just wanted to put that out there for you.
All right. So look,
I take that back. That wasn't Alex Shapiro. That was my guy from Second City Gridiron. What's his name? Guys, help me out in the chat. I'm thinking of Lester Wilfong Jr.
Lester Wilfong. Okay. Yeah. Shout out Lester.
And shout out to Jason right here.
Absolutely. Shout out Jason. FGB Jason. And we love you right back, brother. We love you. Mad respect to you. And same token, mad respect to Velus Jones. Me saying him not getting any run this game wasn't really a shot at him. It's also just a reality that it means that the team might think that he's a starting caliber player. And yeah, they didn't want to tip their hand. So if they feel that that's the value that he brings to the table, and I'm fully behind it, I think he would be the perfect guy in those return situations, to be honest with you, and or in the backfield. Let's see what you can do with them. I hope they have that that confidence in Velus at this point, and I think he deserves he not only deserves their confidence, but he needs their confidence to be successful. So all y'all, fingers crossed for Velus Jones. Hopefully this situation pans out for him and the Bears. I think it will. I think he's got the body for it, but more importantly, I think he's just dangerous and electric when the ball is in his hands. So there's that.
Yeah, I really do like the fact that I think he's going to get an opportunity to redefine who he is to this team. And the coaches get a chance to redefine who he is to the team. And I always said this. You guys have been hearing me say this for well over about a year now. That guy, I think Getsy really, really dropped the ball with Velus Jones. Yes, he had fumbleitis. Yes, he's got slick hands, and I believe he was flat out nervous as a player coming into the league, and he had some bad showings, and he never really shook that. But I think Getsy missed some opportunities with how he applied Velus Jones and not giving him an opportunity to show you that he's more than just a threat at receiver. Just get the ball in my hand. I don't care how you got to do it. If you got to damn do a Statue of Liberty, old ass 1960s play, then fucking do it. Just get the ball in my hand however you need to get it to me. You need to run me in some Wildcat, which somebody mentioned to me today on Twitter. I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled some of that off too. Get them in some Wildcat situations. See if you can trick back the defense. But the fact that they're not putting him on display for everybody to sit there and criticize and be hypercritical about him. That's what Velus Jones has brought upon himself with his miscues. People are hypercritical about him, and I understand it. I don't get mad about it like I used to because I just wanted to see the young guy get an opportunity to show the true Velus that we drafted. And I think by them, redefining who he is to this team in the structure of this offense could pay dividends if they use him correctly. So the stuff I'm hearing coming out of practice, shout out to Lester Wilfong Jr. At Second City Gridiron, man. I love his reporting coming from camp. I wish I was there to watch it. But some of the stuff I heard today really made sense to me. Him coming out of the backfield and doing that for the second practice in a row makes a whole lot of fucking sense to me.
You've been preaching that one for a while. I've been arguing against it for a while. And like I said last week, it ain't about me, right? It's about Velus Jones and him being successful. It's about Ryan Poles' draft pick in this case scenario being bang on. And, it's really about utilizing the kid the right way. So let's just hope that Shane Waldron is that guy and he can utilize Velus Jones in different manners than he's been used before. More importantly, though, I think this whole new return situation just screams his name, right? Like that's really where my head is. I think he'll be electric at it, and I can't wait to see it.
So shout out to Sheep Plank and Heat Plank. Show. Shout out to Sheep Plank. Haven't seen her presence here in a while. It's good to see you back. But hey, while everybody is here, hey, since you ain't doing shit, might as well hit the like button because I'm pretty sure we got enough people in here, and we probably don't have half the people hit the like button. Man, please do that. Man, please do that. Show your support, man, and cost you nothing. Hit the subscribe button too if you haven't. I know most people here have already subscribed, and thank you for you guys that are returning subscribers. We never stop loving you, but we're trying to build this thing. We're trying to hit 2,000 before the season starts, and we need your help to do it. Man, please hit that subscribe button and hit that like. Both of them are free. It don't cost you anything, so you might as well. But that being said, man, let's talk about this O-line because that is that's the conversation of the day. I would just say that. So what am I concerned about?
Sorry to laugh, but I'm waiting. I'll sit here quietly and wait for the list.
Well, no, it's not a big list, man, because I was going to get on here. Petty, Black Diamond, he knows. He probably thought I was going to get on here and rail on the offensive line because, is a whole thing going on out there on Twitter and everybody knows that Poles is an offensive lineman. So is the assistant GM. And everybody assumed that, that he's got this on lock. We're going to have one of the better offensive lines in the league. We got two offensive linemen running our front office. And here's my problem right now. Right now I don't know. And I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not there at practice, and that's my biggest hiccup right now because I want to go put my foot on the gas and say some things, but I can't because I'm not looking at that shit live. And until I can do that, or until there's enough film out there for me to evaluate, I can't tell because most of it sounds like a lot of miscues because they're installing a new setup for Saturday's game. They're installing the offense still to begin with, but they're installing new plays for this week's game. So there's two separate things going on at the same time. And so you got miscues, people probably out of place, fumble rooskies and shit like that going on. And you wanna get critical about it. But here's the thing: we had two of our starting offensive linemen go out today, and that was Darnell Wright didn't even practice today, period. But Tevin Jenkins got out there in warm-ups, stretched out, and they took him off the field. He went inside with the trainers. I don't think he ever came back. And so you had a bunch of guys out there, two guys in different spots, man. It's just a lot of movement going on. And here's the thing, guys. The line is never going to stay the same week to week. So in 4 weeks, we could be looking at that line we were talking about and having problems with today. So you got to get different guys in there. My problem is they're not getting enough continuity. You can't say anything today, kids, because freaking your boy Nate Davis was a full participant, so I don't want to hear that shit right off the top.
I'm gonna say something anyways, because
no, what you gonna say? He was a full participant. You ain't got shit to say.
I do. I have stuff. Man. I do. I have stuff to say, man. So I'm paying attention out there. I'm listening to the words out there, and yeah. Nate Davis was at practice today. He practiced, but Nate Davis ain't been at practice for a minute. And when everybody starts out and they go out there and they start stretching to get a good practice on, Nate Davis wasn't having none of that. and I got to shout out where I got this from, and it's straight from Adam Hogue. So shout out to you, Adam Hogue, and CHGO. But Nate Davis wasn't stretching at all. He didn't want to stretch. Didn't want to participate in that portion of practice, but I'm glad that he participated in some capacity. And maybe it's just a question of him ramping his way up, but you would think that starts with stretching. Anyhow, I'm at that point where I would love to have a 3-minute conversation with Mike Vrabel about Nate Davis. Just, hey man, what was it like? How did that go? I would love to hear his response, because I don't know. But hey, I'm throwing stones at glass houses. Fact of the matter is, we got a couple other guys who are hurt right now. We got
Foster said we need to get D to Iceland.
You might as well get D. I don't. Anybody at this point, right? And I'm actually looking behind them. Let the Canadian get some reps, y'all. Might as well get the Canadian out there, get him some reps. I don't know what to say, man. Everybody's kind of hurt. Here's the worry. Worry is, who's gonna start with this for the rookie in September? What's that line gonna look like? Because we didn't see the real offensive line for this team until week 6, maybe last season. Was it weeks?
That's never a good sign, man. But let me bless up to Deuce One Effects. He's got to bounce, man. He wanted to give everybody a shout out for his bounce. So hey, thank you, Deuce, and we'll see you next time, man. Catch this on the rewind or whatever on replay, whatever you got to do. But I had to get the Nate Davis name topic out there so Kez can bring his Gensus to it, so we can get past that shit and move on. We got other shit to talk about.
All right, let's go.
So, because here's somebody just said it, and it's continuity that I'm worried about too. The really good ones, the really good teams, and let me preface this one too, because it doesn't necessarily matter. I know you guys see, look at the list of guys practicing, the guys that don't practice, especially early in the week. Like today they had pads on, so it kind of made a difference. But come Monday or Tuesday, when they're back out there, I wouldn't worry so much about who's out there Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday before the game, that's when I would pay more attention. So with us in college, our games was on Saturdays or Friday. So typical game on a Saturday. So Wednesday, Thursday was the big practices. Those are the practices we've installed the first couple of days. Now we're going to put pads on to see how it works and see if we need to change anything up. Get it cracking again on on Thursday to see if we can be consistent at it. Come Friday, we're out of pads, in shells, doing a walkthrough. So similar things is going on in the league. So somewhere around mid to late week, that's when you should be paying more attention to who's out there and who's not. Early in the week, I wouldn't pay a whole lot of attention to it. I just wanted to say that to everybody. That's kind of how that shit goes. But yes, so I'm starting to worry about the depth. And while I say that, let me give some flowers to a couple of guys I saw on film that comported themselves very well, very, very well. And I think we ought to take some hats off to number one, Jerome Carvin. They stuck him in at center. People didn't pay attention to that. Number 63.
I missed that.
Yes. And he comported himself well. So did Tyree Carter. So I just wanted to put that out there. Go ahead, kid.
No, I thought that was where you were going with Jatari Carter. I didn't see Jerome out there. Jatari played well. He did. I'm less impressed by him playing well because, to be honest with you, the kid's pretty versatile, right? He can play guard. He can play center. He's kind of proven that. He just probably needs a little bit more reps out there in actual gameplay. So I'd like to see more of Carter in these next couple of weeks. I'd also not like to see more of Carter. And what I mean by that is, who's the center on this team? Right? Is it?
Oh, it's Bates.
You think so?
I know so.
Well,
unless he's the only way he's not day one center is if we knock on wood, kids, is if we had some kind of injury before week one and he had to slide left or right. Other than that, he's starting week one.
So snaps haven't been awesome at camp either with him as a starting center. I'll just put that out there too. Those are the words that I'm hearing from multiple sources. I heard there was a couple of botched snaps today and a snap that turned into a fumble.
It was only one.
Only the one. I know there was one fumble. I heard there was more than one botched snap.
There could be a lot of reasons for that, other than he just didn't snap it right. The plane out in your face, but you never know. Sometimes somebody's setting on him funny. Somebody's in the cockeyed stance, and he's really trying to get that ball back there and hurry up and get into a set. And sometimes this shit happens, man. He's been bouncing back and forth from left to right. That's not playing a whole lot of center, so you got to give him a little bit of break.
That's the worry though, right? And that's why I asked the question, who's the center? Is that if you have Bates really being that swing guard as well, his focus is split, right? Like, and you're sort of saying that without saying it, and that's why I'm worried. I'd rather the guy just snap the bloody football for 11 hours out of a day and make sure that that's square, right? Like, somebody needs to do that. There's been zero attention paid to the snapping of the football for this team for quite some time. Like, I was trying to look for like a timestamp here, and I'll timestamp it with James Daniels. I think that's the last guy who could actually snap consistently on this team, and he hasn't been here for quite some time either. But they got to pay some attention to that, and that needs to be ironed out. I have faith in Bates, and why I say that is I have faith in Bates' ability to get rid of the ball and get his hands up to guard, right? Like to block. I have faith in that. I just need to see I'm just hoping that these snaps don't continue to be a problem. I don't want them to prove to be a problem at all, because we've seen enough of that. And what it really amounts to is pressure coming right up the middle and a quarterback running for his life. It's stuff we got to avoid.
So and I'd like to use myself as an example. It was like, all right, so my freshman year in college I knew I was going to be the island cornerback. So the right side corner, that's when they called that the island. I was going to be one-on-one when we wasn't in zone, one-on-one by myself. And so I did that for the first 2 weeks. And so my mindset, my coach hadn't walked up to me and said, "Hey, yo, dudes, you start thinking about sliding in the nickel," right? He didn't say shit to me, and it was all intentional. And it was all intentional. What this won't make any sense until I finish this. And so he kicked me into nickel, a whole entire different game than boundary cornerback. Whole entire game. It's a whole different skill set. But the same thing, you're guarding, you're playing in space, all the different stuff, techniques that you have to use are the same. The only thing is when you're playing boundary corner, you have the boundary as your weapon too. So only so far you can go. Like playing slot corner, you got the whole field to look at. And so you got to travel. And so when I got kicked down there, I had to reshape my mind and rethink the way I was going about the game because I didn't have the boundary as my asset, the sideline. And so now I had to rub that shit out of my muscle memory and think about this motherfucker can go left, right, and for a long ass way, he can take me deep down the field. And so you had to start thinking like that. Now Bates is a pro. He's been used to getting treated that way for his entire career. He's been moving inside, outside, on the left tackle, right tackle, inside center. He's been everywhere on offensive lines. And so it's a seamless process for him more so than anybody else on that team because he's been everywhere. Everybody on the team can't say that. Now, is it still a little bit of difficulty if you've been playing, right guard for the past 3 or 4 days straight and you're getting your mindset on the techniques and fundamentals of that? Yes, you're going to have some hiccups sometimes. He's bouncing all over the place. So I think what I would say is give the guy a break. He had a misstep, a snafu today. I'd say give him a break. I love what I see on the film with Ryan Bates. I really believe 110% he's going to be a guy after the season be like that we're going to be saying, "Oh fuck, that was a steal." So I think everybody, in my opinion, should just be easy, give him time. Let's see if I'd like to see consistent reps at center for him for a week at least, and that only happens if Nate Davis is out there practicing, who is the king nowadays of skirting practice. But I'm not concerned about Ryan Bates. What I'm concerned about is some of the other depth because I kept hearing all day, the through line through the day was Caleb Williams was getting pressured all day in 11-on-11. So either we don't have the proper depth and getting pressure ain't got shit to do with the offensive game plan being installed and we're in new stuff. No, it's just either you can take care of your sets, lock in, take care of your sets, your one-on-ones, or you fucking can't. That ain't got shit to do with no new offense being installed. Nothing. So either you got guys on your second and third unit that can step in and keep that guy clean, or you don't. Consistently today, he was getting pressure. Consistently today. And again, we had 2 of our starting offensive linemen out. And so I'll just leave it there and let you take it over.
Yeah, I don't know what more there is to be said about all this except for this was the obvious issue, the big glaring hole that we all sort of we all sort of identified earlier on, and we've talked about Tevin potentially getting an extension earlier on in the season, in this here off season, and that I word rears its ugly head when you have that conversation, and here it is again, live and direct, right? It's no knock to Tevin again. I expect a Pro Bowl caliber season from him for sure this season. Just a matter of how long he's on that field. That's really the question. So I'd rather him have this injury now, get it out of your system, bro, and get on the field and have a solid season. The rest of these guys, I just I'll give Bates his due just due to that whole split focus case scenario that you just sort of brought to light as well. That's really my thoughts there. Allow him the opportunity to just play center for a while with the right guys, the actual team beside him. Nate's got to be a part of this line on a regular basis. I'm checking out this chat here, and I'm trying. Oh, at
what you bet he doesn't miss a practice this week?
Who? Nate
Davis.
Don't do stuff like that now.
What you want to bet?
For real?
I'll put a dub on it right now. When it's time, when his number is up, when it's time for him to play ball, Nate Davis shows up. He fucks around. He's done this. I'm telling you, don't bet that money, kids, because you're going to fucking lose. Unless something really, really happens to him, he'll be at practice every day, a full participant. When it's time to play games, Nate's going to be ready, and that's how he sells himself. When it comes to real football and getting ready for a game, he's going to practice.
But that's the thing. Nate Davis ain't a practice guy. He's a game guy.
You're going to bet the 20 then. You're going to have to PayPal the shit out of me. I'll sign up for PayPal just for
all right, it's on 20. Let's do that. Yeah, let's go. $20. What we're saying, what he's saying, if y'all ain't paying attention, is that Nate ain't going to miss another practice between now and September.
No, I ain't. No, that ain't what the fuck I said now. That's what I'm talking about, ramping up.
What are you talking about? To win?
Ramping up for the game this week. I bet he doesn't miss a practice.
He doesn't miss a practice between now and the end of the week?
No, he ain't going to miss no practice. Nope. Not unless the coach pulls him out. He going to be ready. They won't be able to say Nate ain't there getting prepared and ready for this game.
Even that might be easy money, but I'm okay. Country standard says enjoy my $20. You know what? I think Nate Davis will make practice these next couple of days, mainly because Tevin Jenkins is gone and everybody's going to be screaming and staring at Nate Davis. So I'll keep my $20 in my pocket. If you're talking about between now and the beginning of the season, I guarantee he misses at least 5 more practices. And that's $20.
Oh, yeah. That's easy. Nate Davis. Number one, he's going to have some. Number one, you got to remember this. Flus gives those guys veteran days. That's number one. People don't remember that. People got to remember that, though. They get veteran days. I don't know that any of those days that he's been gone were veteran days. I don't know that. Usually, Flus will go up and say something at the podium. You know, Nate Davis is out. He had a vet day. Sometimes he says it, sometimes he doesn't. But that's real. He gives those vets days off. But when it comes to game time and getting ready for that, Nate Davis is going to practice. With that install week, when they're putting that offense in for that team and he knows he's got to be the starter that week, he's going to be out there. I'm telling you.
Sorry, man. Sometimes I get caught up in these chats and I'm looking at Moss.
Man, people can't stand
it. Moss is like, that's $30 Canadian. I had to laugh, man. I had to laugh at that one. That was actually pretty funny.
But man, enough of Nate Davis, man. He just, you know, this is what we got to deal with, man. This is Nate Davis. Thank you, Ron.
And that's thanks, Ron. We appreciate it, brother. We really do. I'm just worried about the whole cohesiveness of it all, right? Like I want there to be 6 guys. Like, let's extend this now. There should be 6 guys that they just basically consider the line and swing. And that's what it should look like. Those 6 guys should go to, you know.
Why? I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got a question. Why don't, I guess because Nate Davis got paid, I never hear the same kind of, you know, animus towards Tevin. Man, Tevin went out there and stretched and went right back to the training room.
So I'll give you a bunch of reasons. First reason is we drafted Tevin Jenkins. This is a good question, though. That's reason number 1. We drafted Tevin Jenkins. Second reason is in watching Tevin Jenkins over the past 3 seasons, I don't know, but kind of looked like a Pro Bowler to me. Kid's amazing at what he does. I'm not saying Nate Davis ain't. What I am saying is that when Nate Davis finally, after the entire debacle last season with him not being able to make it onto the field, when he finally got onto the field, he sure wasn't no Tevin Jenkins those first few games.
He picked it up, man. Nate Davis was There's a such thing as
you're right. It took him a couple of games to ramp up, right?
Yeah,
and
it's a such thing as in shape and game shape, man. It's two different ball games. But shout out to King Booker World with the $2 super chat. Nate Davis, ? Practice, ? Never heard of her.
Practice? Talking about practice?
Hey, Nate, man, it'd be funny if that motherfucker made the Pro Bowl. People talking all this shit. And that's what people basically saying he needs to make the Pro Bowl.
He's that, like, but this is why I give him the grief, though. If you guys, if you've, and I know, man, I know you have. You know what I mean? I'm talking just globally here. If you guys had the opportunity to actually watch him play for the Titans, he's lights out Pro Bowl potential too. We just didn't see that last year. And as you said, Nomad, it takes you a little while to get back up to game speed, game physicality. And if you're missing half of preseason, it might take him that long to do it again this year.
We'll see.
These are the simple worries that I have. I'd love it if he was actually up to game speed and in game shape when the games start.
Hey, Jay Greer's with the $1.99 super chat. He said, "We talking about practice?
Talking about practice?
AI voice." That's about what Nate Davis thinks of it, man. It's like, man, fucking wake me up when it's time to get ready to install.
Bro, like, don't get me wrong. I don't blame him. If that's how you feel about practice, cool.
Hey, King, I'm gonna hold you to
September 1, right? When first week of the season, you need to be in game shape, ready to go, regardless as to how you feel about practice and how little you practice. You just need to be ready to go. And if that somehow happens without you practicing, cool, I'm with it. Do it. But so far,
I know Nate Davis plays a completely different role on a football team than the one I ever played. I was a running motherfucker because I'm a DB. DBs and receivers run. You got to be like a goddamn fucking – you got to have track fucking win in order to play DB and receiver, man, because all you're going to do is run all damn game.
Yup.
Listen, I remember into our first – this is my senior year in high school, and I was just – it was more nerves than anything else. It wasn't – I was nervous to play, but my anxiety was getting the fucking best of me, and I get so hyped up for a game. And sometimes that shit goes, it simmers over. And for the last week of this is the first game of the season, and for the last week of practice, I dialed it back. I told coach that I was having stomach issues, and I was just making excuses because I was too worked up, and I didn't know what the fuck to do with myself, to be honest with you. And I bullshitted my way out of practice for the last week of install before the first game. And see, this is how I know the difference between, this is when I learned the difference between in shape. I was ripped like a motherfucker. I didn't have a six-pack. I had 8 of them. I was absolutely ripped. And this is how I know the difference between game shape and fucking in shape. Man, I was that first quarter and a half, dude, I was sucking so much air. Dude, I mean, you'd have thought that an elephant was sitting on my chest. That's how fucking much I was sucking air. And when you're tired, you know who I saw that in? I saw that in Tremaine Edmonds.
Yeah, when he came back, yeah, he had a rough go.
I was looking at his eyes. I was like, that motherfucker got that look in his eyes. Yeah. He's sucking the air. I mean, he can't get enough oxygen.
You know what? He knows it. He knows it. And I not only do I expect a much stronger season from this season, I expect him to start the season with his hair on fire. Watch, Tremaine. Watch.
He ain't been missing a beat. He knows it, man. I'm telling you. You just don't know.
That game shape situation, like for me, it was really watching my son. So my son had dropped. He basically played defensive tackle and then dropped 80 to 100 pounds over the course of the pandemic, and then came back to play. So when he comes back to play, he's been working out all season before before training camp starts. And I'm like, bro, you're skipping, but you're like, you're skipping your workouts. What are you doing? I'm giving him grief for missing some workouts and stuff. And he's like, Dad, don't worry about it. This isn't even like anything until the season starts. What are you talking about? Like, you need to be in there doing it every day. And he's like, yeah, I go every day. I go as often as I can, but you'll see what I mean when training camp is done. So finally training camp is done. He's dropped 20 pounds of like water weight and gained 20 pounds of muscle, and he just cut out a stone bouncing off of human beings. And it's crazy, like the difference in body and overall body after training camp was done. He was red, like you could tell. That's game shape difference than before. Lean, tall, long, ready to go. But man, I'm with you there. Sometimes you just have to be ready for it. And I worry that Nate's gonna have a slow go, and it'll take him a couple of games to get back up to actual snuff again.
Yeah, but Double M, you right. I was strong as fuck, but I had no wind. All it take is a few days of eating the wrong shit, not getting your sprint work, doing all the stuff you need to do to keep yourself winded for a game. So all it takes is a few days to get out of your get out of your zone, man. That'll mess you up. And so I was strong as fuck, but I had no conditioning whatsoever, and I was hurting. It was a good thing that I didn't let the opponent see it. I just was sucking air in the huddle and in between. But I sucked it up when it came to getting across from somebody. Man, dude, you couldn't tell. But man, if they would have known, they would have been attacking me because I had no fucking defenses. Man, my legs were rubbery. Man, I was breathing heavy. But man, I know what Tremaine Edmonds is going through, and I kind of know. I don't know what it's like to be a D lineman. They go through shit too, but I'm sure it's a certain level of stamina you got to have for an O lineman in order for you to, be good down in and down out, or you're going to start when you're tired, you're weak. When you're weak, you miss your fucking fundamentals and you get off track of what you're supposed to be concentrating on because you're concentrating on getting fucking air. And so hopefully Nate Davis keeps some consistency up until week 1. We can get this guy off to a right start. But Lord, oh Lord, man, you got me tired just sitting here thinking about that shit because that's real. Another person, I got to mention this, man, another person that stood out, and I think we mentioned him during the shows, on both shows, man. It was pretty obvious. Live in-game and post-game, we were talking about it, but when I went to the tape, he was even more impactful. And that was fucking Byron Cowart, number 93. Byron Cowart was a force in that middle. And so what I'm telling you guys right now is not only expect that guy to make the team, but expect him to be a significant contributor. He was playing the shit out of that 3-tech. He helped cause that sack to Austin Booker, number 1. Number 2, he was funneling runs to the outside, which is what he's forced to do. Force it to the outside. If you can't get it, force him, string the run out, and let other people make plays. And he did that consistently over and over and over while he was in the game. Byron Cowart to me, he was a steal. Now we're still gonna have to wait and watch some more. I know he can do it consistently. He's put enough on film in his career, but I think we got a steal with Byron Cowart. I think we'll be talking about him more and more moving forward.
I don't have anything to add to that, bro. Like he played so well. It was kind of surprising and somewhat shocking that somebody else on that line was getting pressure besides the edges. And we were wondering what was happening on the edges, and then all of a sudden we get a little bit of a spark there too. So I'm pleased with Cowart. I want to see what that looks like. I'll be honest here. I want to see what it looks like in conjunction, if at all possible, with the first team. And the caveat there is, I think they might actually have something with Gervon Dexter. So I'm thinking he might be the rotation with Gervon. Maybe
he was ringing all day in practice
today.
Oh yeah, this is the camp of Gervon Dexter, man. Gervon Dexter has had a monster camp.
That's what I've been hearing too, man. I got no problems with that because if you can't if you can't rush on the other edge, you can rush up the middle maybe, and that's where those double teams are going to go. So this is going to be an interesting situation. If we've got Sweat on one side, Booker on the other side, and Dex in the middle just disrupting traffic. Maybe there might be some pressure in Chicago moving forward.
They've turned something on in him. They challenge him. And he's one of those guys. And I try not to say this too many times, but way back when I was at the bar room, when everybody was talking about we need to get, break the bank, do whatever we need to do to get Jatiri. I mean, not Jatiri, but Jalen Carter. And I'm just like, it ain't gonna be the end of the world if we don't get that kid. Why? He's the best 3-tech in the. I was like, there's this kid down in Florida, Jervon Dexter. Well, people start looking at him, and it was just like, oh, he's a 1-tech, he's slow, he's this, he's that. And I'm just like, listen, let me tell you something. And I always went back to Buckner over there in Indy. I was like, Buckner wasn't Buckner until 2 or 3 years into his career. It takes a defensive lineman to get in the NFL, see what he's up against. See, you got multimillionaires that get paid to play professional football. These are the best motherfuckers in the world that you line it up against, and they ain't trying to let you take their money away from them, not beating them and getting inside them and getting sacks on motherfuckers. Their job is to stop you, and they'll break their neck to do it. And so what do you have to do? Get really fucking good at your trade. And if they challenge you and say, hey, Javon, I think you'll be a lot more effective and a different player if you trim this amount of weight off, make yourself more explosive, get a little bit more lean, get skinny, so that when it's time during games, you don't have to necessarily always depend on your power. Your power is your number 1-2, right? You're a big guy, you're a strong guy, you're tall. So most teams are afraid of your power. But if you add this to your game, slim down, so that in time during games, your second move is a skinny move. So what's a skinny move? You slip inside, and that's what you saw in practice. He was anticipating the snap count. Boom, got off, got skinny into the backfield, broke the play up. That's what you didn't see when he was down in Florida. That's what you didn't see because why? He was two gapping, and they needed him to be big in order to do that role. Two gapping at 1-tech, as a matter of fact.
He was also read and react, right? So he's waiting for the play to happen in Florida, right? That's what they were asking him to do. To make matters worse, when you evaluated his play over there, you kind of stopped and you're like, wait a minute, does he have a slow get off, or does he have a fast get off? He's just sort of reading the play and taking action. And that's really what he was doing. And that's what they were asking him for. In this scenario now, completely different deal. Basically, he needs to understand what the defensive scheme is. What is your assignment? What are you there to do? And just go wreak havoc, right? Like it's such a different thing. I can't wait until he's a proven threat. And what I mean by that is I can't wait until teams are like, damn, we got to put two guys over here, right? We got to dedicate two guys to Jervon Dexter. Then we're going to see some other people eat. You know what was awesome to see yesterday? Like yesterday in the game, back to Austin Booker, unfortunately or fortunately, taken for what it's worth. They blitzed. They sent 45 on a blitz, and Austin Booker went back into coverage, and he was super fast to get into position, long and lengthy enough to get in between to break up a pass if the pass actually occurred. Davis Mills decided not to throw the ball there because he would have got intercepted. But I had to think in watching that particular rep, remember those times when you're watching Justin Jones do that, and that was his assignment. I have a feeling now they have a guy who can actually be successful in that assignment, which means maybe we might see some more exotic blitzing moving forward.
Hey, I got to give you another example because I love talking about Javon Dexter and 3 Tech. It's really the only defense I know in and out. I know the functions of a 3-4, but 4-3 is like I know this shit dead in my sleep, and so when I got there, I told you when I got to college my freshman year, we were, installing everything. We had new coaches, new offense. First time I ever seen West Coast offense. Got lucky and got into a 4-3. We had this cat that he was a leftover that they kept and offered him a scholarship again. They kept him on scholarship. He's from LA, cat named Keenan. And, he was our 3 Tech, but he was coming from that scheme that Javon Dexter was in. And so he had 3 years. And so he was coming back for his senior year. He's coming back for his senior year playing a brand new scheme. And I can remember him. He was quiet anyway, you know what I mean? But big old dude, big old burly dude. And he was very, very slow. Just like Javon Dexter getting off the ball. Why? It's because of the techniques that he was playing. He got used to playing for 3 years. And so it was him. The coaches are barking at him. They're getting on, get off the goddamn ball. They're just going off on him. And he's one of those non-reactionary people. He's not going to react too much to a coach, jumping in his ear. He's one of them self-motivated people. He's one of them interior motivated people that ain't going to say a whole lot, but he's cooking on the inside. He's probably plotting to take over the world or fucking something privately by himself, but you will never know about it until he lets you see it. He was that kind of person. And so one day I told him.
Also that kind of person. I just like to put that out. Continue.
You don't do it in secret because I know that's not. You talk too much.
Everybody gonna know my megalomaniacal plan.
No, but one day I told him, I said, Keenan, you just gotta scrub all that shit. He is just like, man, it's easy for you to say. I said, I know. I said, but you gotta just bury that shit, man. All you gotta do is just get in the backfield. Fuck, beat whoever the fuck is in front of you. Don't let them. They can't do nothing to you once you decide that you want to wreck shop. Fucking tear their ass up. That's all they want to see you do is get off the ball fast and get in the backfield. He said, that's pretty much it, huh? I said, that's pretty much it. Just wreck shop at the point of attack, get in the backfield, shoot in. Just try to anticipate the snap count, shoot in and get in the backfield and disrupt the play and watch and see their reaction. Boom. First day we got out there in pads. This is exactly what he did. He shot the guard tackle combo in between them. He shot in there, and boom, there he was on the running back. And you should have saw those fucking coaches over there. From that point on, kids, from that fucking point on, he knew all he had to do was be fucking disruptive and piss them off. And that's what he did. And he was a stud. And so it was really about erasing the muscle memory, getting it in your head that this is what these guys want me to do. They just want me to be disruptive. They're not asking me to read shit. They're just telling me to penetrate and get in the backfield. It makes football very, very simple. And I remember I've talked to him years later after this, and he was just like, man, after that, man, I realized how much I fucking hated playing football, playing this 2-gapping style. Because it takes the fun out of it. Big dudes, they want to get in there and they want to tear up shit, right?
Yeah.
And so this is perfect for Javon Dexter. His body type and his skill set, I could see if they can get that transition from the 2-gapping style and get him to commit to a 4-3 penetrating style, that this dude was going to be a stud. I could see that coming a long way off. And thank God, I think we're starting to see that right now. So Javon Dexter has had a fucking camp. He did what they asked him to do, and that's, man.
I think he clued in. I think he clued in towards the end of last season. He had a little bit of success, got a little bit of disruption there towards the end of last season. I think it all sort of clicked when he's like, all right, now I'm starting to understand this scheme and what they're asking me to do. Let's go. And I think moving forward this season, like, let me rephrase. what I'd like to see this season is teams. I'd like to see opponents confused with what to do with our defensive line. That's what I'm hoping. Because clearly at this present time, the answer is double team Montez Sweat and pray to God he doesn't disrupt you, the case scenario anyhow. I want them to stop and say, wait a minute, maybe we have to double team Gervon Dexter, or we might have to pay a little bit of attention to the other side because Booker's running free. And when that happens, y'all, this defense will be basically unstoppable. And I'm saying that because the linebacking core is already disgusting. The secondary is crazy. That's all that's missing. Like if Gervon Dexter takes off early this season, as well as Austin Booker, like basically what happens is one of those two guys has to step up. If either one steps up, it's a problem for the NFL. So I can't wait. I can't wait to see which one of these two guys it is, if it happens at all, right? Like God only knows. But I'm fully behind Dexter on this. If he's able to be disruptive beside Montez, there's not much teams can do other than let Austin Booker work free. And I think that means Austin Booker eats lunch all season long.
I think it's all, when I say it's all in him trimming off some body fat, it's all in trimming off some body fat and getting his win, for a 4-quarter game, you'll tail off more than you think. If you're on the outside looking into a game, you see them big suckers stand up and they got hands on their hips and you see them panting, and just look at them from the waist down. You could tell, what's going on with them, because they're going to kind of let you know. You start seeing dudes kind of leaning on one side, leaning on one leg with their hands on their hips, or got cross feet, different shit like that, different indicators that we learned, as football players. Like, this is when you take it to a team. When you start seeing the D linemen start getting like this, the linebackers start looking like that. And, I know from what he described his offseason as being, this cat's going to be ready to play a full 4 quarters and have some extra stock in him for late in the game. And that's the key. You can play 3 really, really good quarters. If you ain't got the juice and the legs under you to really perform and have that punch in the 4th quarter, it's going to be all for nothing, because you're going to give it all up. So I just love listening to him, how he attacked this offseason. I am telling you, this kid is set up to have a great fucking year.
He came in game shape already, right? He's starting in game shape. Let's see what he looks like in September, right? He'll be ready to go. And I think he's kind of already ready and raring to go. I just want to see it on the field. So hopefully we see a couple of snaps there against Buffalo, maybe a couple of more as we move forward towards the end, towards the season. But I kind of feel like they're probably going to save the rest of these guys for a little. I wouldn't be surprised at all if both Dexter and Montez Sweat sit out this entire preseason.
So let me give this is another. Y'all got me in my zone right now, so I'm giving y'all some nuggets today. If you've ever seen, I don't know how many people have ever seen a workout like when they came back for camp, and you heard stories about him working out with the edge rushers, right? And so they got different shit set up for different position groups, right? And so the edge rusher shit is a lot more rigorous than what they have the D tackles do. And so what he did, I don't know whether he decided to do it himself.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was working with the edges. You're right.
He decided to put himself through that rigor. You know what I think, man? I think he saw the amount of money that but Montez Sweat is making, and he wants that kind of money. So I need to get in that kind of shape.
You're funny. I'm
not fucking around.
I know you're not, and that is great motivation. But to be completely frank, if he wants motivation, there's two letters to really look at, and it's A and D. Right? If he looks at Aaron Donald and what Aaron Donald has been able to accomplish in a 4-3 defense, bro, there's money there. You know what I'm saying? There's longevity there. There's a ring there. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really who he could be. And I'm not trying to bear with me, guys. I'm not trying to say he's anything like Aaron Donald. What I am trying to say is that in this particular scheme, when you have a powerful edge, you can only double team so many human beings. So you already have an edge that's taking a double team, which means that Dexter and Booker potentially could run free. Who's going to take advantage of that? And I have a feeling it's going to be Dex. And if Dex is taking advantage of it early in the season, that means he eats until somebody decides to add that double team to him too, which then leaves Booker free. Right? So it's really interesting stuff to see. I expect nothing more than Dex to eat early in the season. So quote me on that. I expect him to eat large early in the season, and people will take notice. And if they do, they're gonna have to pay attention and dedicate a body to him. And once that happens, Austin Booker time, y'all.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna speak to Biggs. He's saying I heard sports reports that Zack Pickens isn't doing that good. That's why he's on the thumbnail today, Biggs. Listen, I'm gonna refrain from really saying what I want to say right now because I'm gonna give Zack Pickens the benefit of the doubt. I know what Zack Pickens is. I know what Zack Pickens can be. Is it coming off on the field thus far? No, it is not. He should have been more. He should have been more explosive and more of an impact in that game than he was. Playing against 2s and 3s. This is his competition right now. And if you haven't played 1s yet, Zack Pickens, that's the guy that needs to step up in the next game. In my opinion, that's the guy that needs to really have a good showing in the next game and be dominant and be explosive. And that's what you're looking for. You're expecting Zack Pickens to be your second guy in line in your onslaught of D tackles coming up. He should be second in line. And he's got to have a better punch and get off and be more disruptive than he showed in that game. And so I'm just not going to get hypercritical of him. I'm going to wait until the next game to see if there's any difference in the way he performed this last game. I see why people are saying that because he just didn't look good on film, flat out.
Yeah, can't argue with any of that sentiment. What I am going to say is, I'll say a couple of things. If a guy like Byron Cowart stands out, you don't necessarily need Zack Pickens to be that guy, right? He can just be the nose. I know the idea, the one tech. I know the idea is to have him sort of be both, right? They want a guy, like they want two guys who are interchangeable so they can be super sneaky. But sometimes you don't get all the gifts you want for Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know what else to say. Was Zach amazing? Has he been amazing? He's gotten a lot of reps, right? He got a lot of reps last season. I don't really expect him to necessarily turn into what I think Gervon Dexter is actually going to be. I think Zack Pickens is much more of, again, a true one tech, and I think they should start to treat him that way.
No, he's definitely not a one tech.
I think he is.
If they wanted to, all you have to do is look at his body type and look at him. And I was trying to tell people this before. I looked at him on tape at practice. I was looking at him. Somebody definitely got his head and told him, trim down, for whatever reason. That maybe they wanted him to be more of So here's what I'm getting at. If you heard Andrew Billings at his most recent presser, you heard him say that he's also getting reps at 3 tech. And so what does that tell us? Yes, Andrew Billings is quick, very, very quick off the ball for a guy that big. He's a dancing bear is what he is. His feet are absolutely they're just he's got elite feet for a guy that big, and he's got good hand usage as well. And so why wouldn't you use a guy with that kind of ability and play him as a 3 tech? And so here's the thing: from day one of me starting in the 4-3 defense, I saw guys being trained that way. Big guys that had no business playing 3 tech had to learn how to play 3 tech. Get your ass in shape and get ready, because sometimes you're gonna slide over, you're gonna kick in, you're gonna kick out. You're gonna play 1, you're gonna play 3. You know, you're gonna play multiple spots along the beauty of that line is it's not like in the 3-4 where guys you got guys say, hey, get up, move, I'm gonna replace you, that kind of thing. No, they're either gonna slide left, they're gonna slide right. If you slide right, you might go from 1 or 0 to 1 to 2 to 3. You never know where you're gonna end up at, but you need to be able to play the techniques of all 3 of those roles. And so whether you're Andrew Billings, whether you're Zack Pickins, you need to be pliable. What that means is you need to be smart, you need to be bendable enough to go and play multiple positions. And so what they must have told him was trim some weight. We still think you can hold up your line of attack when you play 0 and when you play 1. But when we slide you over to 3 tech, that's when it's going to really give you an advantage, because you don't have all that extra weight and you can be quick, fast, and explosive. And so you can see the body change. And what I started to see on film was he was used to that body weight and holding that holding him up. And he didn't really have that, and he was getting washed out playing 1 and 0 tech. So that's what you saw on film was him with less body fat on him playing 0 tech, getting washed out a little bit more because he didn't have the extra weight. Now, when they slide him over and start playing him at 3 tech and tell him be fast, be explosive, you're likely going to see a whole different Zack Pickins. It's there in him. It's there in him. They just have to, put him in position to activate it. That's what I believe it is. I don't think he's any more or any less than any Javon Dexter. He just hasn't been given the opportunity to let that out. And when he does, he needs to take advantage of it. So let's see how they play him in the next game, because Billings will be back on the field more than likely. So we'll see.
Okay, all right. Honestly, I don't have a problem with him as a straight up 1 if that's what they want him to do. I also have no problems with Billings as a straight up 1, but I'm intrigued by him taking 3 tech reps too. That's kind of an interesting piece to all this. I'd like to see a little bit more there. He can be very disruptive. I've watched some of his snaps in Miami, and I've taken a liking to Andrew Billings. Actually, I think he's awesome, and I think I hope he shines on Hard Knocks. I'll just put that out there. He's pretty funny. He's kind of a funny guy. So we'll see. We'll see who shines on Hard Knocks in that respect. But as far as the line is concerned, I don't mind where. Like, I would like it if Billings was if Pickens was more productive, but I'm not sure. I'm just not sure if they need him to be. They'd like him to be though.
Well, he has to be, man. And Biggs is making let me address Biggs. Biggs is making some good points. He said, well, honestly, thought that Zach's get off was better.
It was better than like.
Well, just look at how you judge it. He's naturally a twitchier athlete. Naturally. And he was twitchy like that with 334 pounds on him at times. At South Carolina. He was still twitchy, but he was out of shape. And playing, he was also 2-gapping. And so it was there at times, and then it wasn't. So it came in spurts. When he had the win to do it, he's out a couple of plays, he comes back in, boom, you see that burst. But he's naturally twitchier than Javon Dexter. So it is there. He's naturally, I'll say that again, he is naturally twitchier than Javon Dexter. But has Javon Dexter made gains on him since their days in college? I would say absolutely, and that's the reason why he's going into the season being a starter. So, but I'm going to tell you right now, don't be surprised if the tide changes on what people think about Zack Pickens. It's about where they give him the opportunity. If they let him turn loose at 3-tech, at that weight that he's at right now, he's a slimmer, trimmer 3-tech kind of body type. I think you might see some things. So we'll see in the next few preseason games if I'm right or wrong. I'll fall on my sword if I'm wrong, but I believe 100% that he's got that there. He's got that gift.
I'm just looking at what Scottish Bears comments in here. Oh, okay, sir. Thank you, sir. You're quite literally reading my mind. Versatile is a word at college. He was Zach was a pure 3-tech. The Bears have changed his game to make him more versatile. Might need to get him back to what he was used to and good at. And I wish I could argue for a second with that. I can't argue with that at all, Scottish Bear. Big ups to you. Fact is, yeah, maybe you dedicate him to 3-tech and see what happens. I know he got a fair amount of 3-tech reps last season and wasn't very productive. Mind you, his body's changed a little bit. He's dropped a little bit of weight, probably put on a little bit more muscle. It might be, he might be a little bit more productive as a dedicated 3-tech now than before. The question there is now, is he being overshadowed by the other guy who's drafted in front of him? And the odds are,
who Zack Pickins needs to worry about. And I got to go back to Bear Truth 9's statement. Bear Truth 9 says Pickens projects to me to replace Justin Jones, who's primarily the 3-tech. Here's the problem. They're expecting him to make some gains and have some growth. But guess what they did in the offseason, just in case he didn't? Brought in Byron Coward. Just in case he doesn't make the leap that they're expecting him to, they've got a qualified guy that they know can play and give him some great reps at 3-tech, and that's what's going on. He's got to elevate and get beyond Byron Coward, or he's going to be third on the depth chart when it comes to 3-tech role. He might be second on the depth chart at 0-tech, 1-tech, and right behind Andrew Billings, but he's going to remain behind Byron Coward unless he starts making gains.
And that's why I ain't worried. Like for exactly that reason, right? Like if Byron Coward is proven the theory, like he feel free, y'all, take a look at his tapes. Tapes are actually really good at 3-tech, very good. If he's continuing to prove who he is and show who he is, then my thoughts is we've got Gervon Dexter in front of him. He would be right behind Gervon at that 3-tech position. That provides us with a little bit of depth. Zack Pickins would roll up maybe third behind him, which is fine. You can still swap him and Billings out at the 1-tech position if that's the case. And if you need versatility, what you're saying to me is Billings is potentially versatile and has taken 3-tech snaps and may take more in the future. Perfect. We've got a lot of diversity. That's a pretty diverse line right there. Pretty versatile line. I would like Zach to be more productive, but again, I'm not sure if we need him to be more productive in this scenario. I think we might be all right.
No, he has to be more productive. He has to be more productive.
Oh.
And number one, yes. And number two, they have to give him opportunities so that he can be productive. But they have to, Zack Pickens is probably a little frustrated playing all the 0-tech and trying to be Andrew Billings Jr. He's a big boy, but he's not that kind of big boy to be playing mostly at 0-tech, and that's got to be a little bit frustrating. But, he's got to elevate his game. When he's given opportunities to slide over at 3-tech, he's got to make a show of himself so that they are so intrigued by what he's giving them at 3, they're less prone to want to slide him down. We want to give him more reps at 3-tech. And if we need to, we'll bring in another big body, sign another big body, and have to give him less reps at 0-tech. And so he's got to show that, hey, if you want to slide out of there, give it to him in practice. Give it to him in practice. They're going to give you more reps. So that's just that, man. You're right, Naj. He will get there. He will get there. Let me answer a question. Juku off the dub. He's asking. Juku off the dub is asking, what do you think about Shane Waldron's play calling? Didn't see anything spectacular. Is it because it was first string? Because first string wasn't in? No, it's because it's the Hall of Fame game and the first preseason game, and they're gonna be pretty fucking vanilla. To be honest with you, too, cool. That's all it is. They're not going to give. Not going to give a whole lot of tells in a Hall of Fame game in the first couple of preseason games. Towards when you get into that last preseason game, you might start seeing some of the stuff that they really wanted to put out on display and see if they can actually run this in a full game. So you might definitely see some during that third game. Who was that third game? Was that last game? Kansas City or somebody? Last preseason game. I think you'll see more of the stuff that they want to run, during that game. I think a lot of this stuff for the first couple of preseason games is going to be very, very vanilla. And don't expect to have your pants fucking ripped off of you out watching the game. It ain't going to happen.
I don't think that was really, like they're not going to, I don't think they're going to show any of that, not even with Kansas City. But I think the things to note are how successful were the two, the two backup quarterbacks in this scheme. And I think they both played exceptionally well. That's the first takeaway. Second takeaway would be the utilization of the tight ends in the scheme, which, me, yourself, J2K, we've gone back and forth about this in conversation as to, how heavily we expect the tight end to be used in that scheme. Tight end was used rather frequently, and it was pretty effective. Again, I think it helped add an additional layer of blocking on that offensive line, as well as an additional receiver out there in the middle of the field. Yeah, man. Basically, what Bear Truth is saying, I liked it. I liked what I saw. I thought, again, I thought it was a vanilla version of things he will be trying to do in the future. But as overall, it seemed to be successful. It wasn't sloppy. There weren't a lot of penalties.
Very, very clean operationally. Man.
Yeah, no penalties, right? Like, I and something else to be said here just about Shane Waldron is obviously, again, he's just come from a place where he took a quarterback who was struggling and turned him into a very viable offense and a very viable quarterback, that being Geno Smith. Shows up here, and the two young backups were under his tutelage within his scheme, picked things up and seemed to be quite successful. I think everybody enjoyed and appreciated, except for the Bajancy out there. I think everybody appreciated watching Rippy and Let It Rip. Like he played very well. I'm not knocking Tyson Bagent. He just didn't have a lot of snaps there last during the Hall of Fame game. But Ripien played great. Austin Reed played great. All that being said, I like the scheme. I think for a young quarterback, it might be a beneficial scheme.
So let me give Tyson Bagent some props today, because one of the things that came out, this is per Alex Shapiro, per Braggs, I think it was, and also Brad Biggs. Same thing. I think even Zach Pearson, same exact thing they were saying. Caleb struggled badly in the 2-minute drill. So what happens in a 2-minute drill? There's two kinds of 2-minute drills. You'll start, depending on how they want this drill to operate, you might start in the low red zone. So what's the low red zone? Probably 20 yards and in, right? 20 yards and in. So you got that space to operate from. So you're on the 20, getting ready to score. So they're getting that, and you're on a clock, right? You got to get these plays off, and you got to get in the end zone. Use your timeouts. How to operate that way, right? You got a certain set of timeouts. You got a certain amount of time on the clock, and you're in the low red zone. That's 20 yards out to end zone. High red zone is more like 50 yards out to end zone. That's how most teams set up, 2-minute periods. They just want to see if you can get the ball to a certain spot, get it in the end zone, or get set up for a field goal, right? And so basically in the first period, it was Caleb and the first team. And it didn't look good. They didn't do shit, and they didn't get the ball in the end zone, nor did they get a field goal. Tyson Bagent came out with the second unit. Boom, boom, boom. Took the guys down the field and got the ball in. Touchdown. And so give him props for that. But yeah, it's the operational stuff that's going on out there, they've got to really start getting some shit nailed down this week. They have to. They really do. Kid, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good, man. My guy Bearski's got a clip for us he wants to share. I'm just trying to nail it down. Bearski, send it to my email. Just threw it in the chat. By all means, send her through 60-second little video if we can get that up.
Or he can come on. He can jump on right quick.
I was gonna make the invite too, right, Bearski? If you want to jump on, let us know. Holler, we can send you a link and you can come through and play it yourself if you want.
Yeah, you can do that, man. You're more than welcome, Bearski. When I say the door swings, man. Once you're here, man, you're always part of the family. Come on, jump in. We can put your stuff out there. And also, Bearski, I just want you to, I know I said that I was going to get you some music. I've been busy with birthdays for a week. I mean, August is a rough, especially at the beginning of August. My birthday is tomorrow. Shout out, hey, my birthday is tomorrow. But I had my mother's birthday on the 1st. Girlfriend's birthday on the 30th of July, and other people, man. It's just been a lot going on, but I promise you, I'm going to get you some music, and we're going to do some hype videos, man. That's what we're going to fucking do, and get these people ready for this goddamn season. But yeah, man, let's talk about I put some questions in the up there, man. You want to answer some of these questions?
All right, what we got?
He said, Bearski says, my only 2 days off this week are my wife's birthday on the 6th and my daughter's on the 11th. So, hey, man, dog, it's been a rough. It's getting ready to loosen up next week, man. So don't even worry about it, man. I'm going to get with you. Hey, thank you for the birthday wishes, man. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Brian, let me see. Notch, appreciate it, man. Yeah, appreciate it, man. Plank. Oh, let me leave you alone, Nick. My bad. What Don smart ass say? He said, Nomad, take you a shot at MG 2020 for your birthday. I want some Ripple. I'm finna holler at Fred Samples. Shit. Thank you, STC. Thank you, Bruja. Appreciate you guys, man. Nods, man. I love you guys. Joseph Archer. Look at that. Black Diamond. Mayhem, man. I love you guys, man. Appreciate it. It's all love. I feel it.
Ah, jeez. Everybody's giving you a birthday big ups, man.
Listen, took off now.
Hey, even STC came out of the woodwork. What's up, STC?
I didn't want to make no big deal out of it, but since I had to make sure, because I told Bearski something that I was going to do, but I just haven't had time to do it yet. But I am going to take and make sure I execute.
Terry Anderson.
Appreciate it. Terry, Aunt Moss, AC, appreciate you guys. James Ford, man, thank you. But yeah, man, I guess we gotta let this Leo Cash App is on the bottom left. That would be nice though, man, because the brother can use some money. Shit. It's always, something, man. Let me speak on that right now so that people understand, because we're gonna open up memberships here in the next few days or so, probably in this next week. And I'm in between, and you guys can tell me in the chat what you think would be the best idea, because we're not going to offer membership and ask people to pay a monthly fee for nothing. We're going to give extra content like the live in-game stuff. We're going to do some behind-the-scenes shows that's going to be members-only content. It's going to be different stuff that we're going to add to the program that we're doing now, so that when we ask for a membership, you get something and get something for it. So we won't just ask you for it just to be asking for it. It does take money to operate this. It takes money to operate to get technology. It takes money to operate StreamYard, Podbean, all kinds of shit that we have going on behind the scenes that we don't readily talk to you guys about, because it ain't you guys' problem. You came in to watch Bears content, but we don't ask for money just to be asking for money. No, we're trying to make this thing a thing, and it takes money to operate. Plain out simple. And so when we do that, it would be nice to get some membership. So what I wanted to ask you guys is, what do you think I should make? I'm thinking about just doing a $5 flat fee for a membership for anybody who wants to be a member. $5 a month is easy, and you get all the extra content you want. Instead of doing a varied, like you can do different stages of membership. You can go $5, you can go $15, you can go $25. I say instead of doing all of that, I say we just make it one flat fee if you want to become a member. That way we get a whole bunch of members and we can really operate this channel and get the kind of help we need. And with you guys, I think we can do that. I really do. I think we can operate this channel, get the kind of help, get the kind of production, help the producers that we have now do their jobs. So when we open the membership, what do you think? $5? You think $5 is a real simple fee, or do you think I should vary and kind of open it up to different fees?
So I'm going to touch on this a little bit. Normally I let Nomad do his thing with these things, but
Bearski's right here. $5 is the door fee for a party. Keep it simple. You want to come party with the No Maniacs? Simple 5, baby.
I think that's right, man.
So do me a favor, Nomad. If you could send Bearski a link, he'll fire up the video and come join us. I know you should have his email there. That being said, so we did our first inaugural watch party, and for those of you who joined us, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We want to do more, and we want to do it a little bit better. To be frank with you, it's much less of a requirement for us to make money off of this thing, but it's in order to provide you with a certain level of content. A couple of bucks would be commensurate. And what I really mean by that is behind the paywall, prying eyes aren't necessarily going to look and see what we're doing. So we could probably show you guys things that, you might want to actually see by way of a watch party. So we ran things we ran things for the Hall of Fame game. I thought it was awesome. I thought it went over very well. And I'm super appreciative that all you guys did join us and watch with us. We'd like to put something in place so that we can continue doing that and, just up the production value a little bit more. So you guys get a little bit more bang for your proverbial buck. But in this case, $5.
I think it's pretty settled, man. It was an easy $5. Everybody likes a $5 flat fee. It's not busting nobody upside the head with a bag of nickels. And as many No Maniacs as we can get, that's what we want, man, to help operate this channel the way we know we can and really bring in the help that we know we need. So whatever you think we are now with contributions, and there's my guy Paul from Bearski Films just popped up. Paul, and really quick before I get to Paul, that's it, man. I think that's the sneaky secret to the sauce is get as many No Maniacs to availability to contribute the best way they can. I think that's an easy way to do it. $5, and I think you guys just sold me on it, and that's what we're going to
do. The conversion. Sorry.
I mean, dude, as you get to know me, you'll know I'm very cheap. I mean, we're the Polish Bears channel. I'm a Polak through and through. I was born into communism. So for me, it's like, man, I'm not about paying anything. You know what I mean? But like $5.
Yeah.
And I could do $5. So man, you want to make it affordable for everybody.
And
you know
Paul, wait until what idiots they find out we are behind the scenes and how much fun it is. So when we get behind the scenes,
I think they have a good idea, but it's a little bit less censored, right? It's a little bit less censored. Will be a lot more free flowing, sure. But it's just a question of how we can, accommodate all of it without certain folks.
I mean, I'll tell you guys something. We try and have a Super Bowl party every year, right? But I'm done with Comcast. So I have the HD TV antenna, one of those new ones. But still, if people walk in the right spot, sometimes it gets a little choppy. And man, when you got a house full of people, they're like, "What the fuck, man?"
So you gave up the internet too?
No. I do T-Mobile internet now. And you know what? Comcast recently called me to offer me some deal, and I was like, "Listen, for years I told you I told you the second there's another option out there other than AT&T, you guys are gone. Like done. So yeah, I've had no problems. But yeah,
I can't let go of Comcast Internet running this channel.
I thought the same. I think my T-Mobile's better.
Man, you know what? I'm gonna consider it. Hey, FFG side he said, damn, we already brought Brian a laptop. Hey man, that's the shit I'm talking about, FFG. When the No Maniacs come together and we need shit done, this is why you're gonna find us to be. I'm the most upfront guy you can ever deal with doing a podcast. Chris gets mad. He used to get mad at me because, no, man, you talk too much. You can't tell him everything. I'd rather you see right through me than to have questions. Like, I'm not a facial personality on the show, but I can find ways to let people know who I am as an individual and who we are as a team. And so this is how I do it, being transparent, letting you guys know what we need. And so that, when we say what we need, it's understood. Nobody's going to get beat out of any kind of money. I'll tell you exactly what we're going to do with it, and I'll show you afterwards. So it's not going to be like you have to wonder, okay, what do we pay this $5 a month for? I'll show you. Don't even worry about it. So, hey, I appreciate that though, FFG. So that you guys' super chat did absolutely buy Brian a laptop. No question about it.
And somebody just pointed the nudge to the conversion site, and I just made a new bookmark for his browser. Well done, Nudge.
So guys, I got 2 videos available for you. I don't know if you want to play them both or just pick one or whatever. One of them is a preseason highlights video under 2 minutes long, just from that first game, and the other one is just a short 60-second short on Jaylen Johnson talking about being snubbed from the top 100.
Let's start with the short.
Let's start with the short. All right, let's do it. Hold on. Let me present it here right now. All right, you guys ready?
Absolutely, Paul. Thanks, brother.
Yeah, just play it when you want.
Top 100 list came out and didn't make it out.
Point blank period. There ain't no way there's 100 guys. I mean, especially if we going by the season. Like, is it by season? Is it just by names? There ain't no way. I don't know how you make Pro Bowl, All Pro, and you're not a top 100 guy. I mean, I could have been 101, I guess, but Aaron Rodgers didn't even play in the season. He was voted. So, I mean, hey,
it's kind of
100% is disrespectful. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful. But I know I go out there and line up, and I know receivers go out there and can't say that I'm not one of the best people, like best player they played against. Ain't no way 100 guys better. Ain't no way. And especially guys who didn't play, who were hurt, played half. I'm sorry, excuse my language. Ain't no way. Ain't no way.
Yeah, so I just want to talk to you guys about that a little bit, because it's like in my personal conversations with David, or even conversations we've had on the channel, I've always considered Johnson to be a very average corner, but like a high average. Like I've never really considered him to be much of a superstar. I thought, one of the reasons he didn't get thrown at is because, our other corners weren't necessarily in good position. Kyler Gordon was young for a little bit. He got taken advantage of, and our nickel spot has always kind of been a rotation. But now we're in a different spot. But I mean, I agree with him though. Like, there's no way you could put a guy that didn't play all year and Aaron Rodgers on there and skip over him, right? Like, I don't think, if I made a list of top 100, I think he cracks it. So I can see why he's a little disrespected. But I mean, I don't think he'd be very high up there if he did.
I want to say this, and this is true for a lot of different reasons. It's political. It's very, very, I don't know what it is, but, over the years, man, I've noticed it's brutal. Hey, listen, over the years, I've noticed, like, you have a really good player in the league that's doing awesome on a losing team that gets fucking snubbed, and that they deserve to be at a certain pinnacle, right? And that's exactly what's going on with Jaylen. Jaylen was on a losing team. Let's say we won the first game of the first round of the playoffs. Guarantee you he's making that.
Well, Nomad, what's interesting is at the start of the season, we did like a little bold predictions video. Like, what are your bold predictions for offense? What are your bold predictions on defense? And my bold prediction was that Jaylen Johnson will get 2 interceptions this year. Because you look at his career before this year, and what, he had 1 or none. Like, in 3 years, he didn't come away with many picks. And then, like, I like to play devil's advocate too. Listen, I love Jaylen, right? I'm glad we signed him. I thought we signed him exactly for where he needed to be, and I feel like he should be on this team moving forward. But to play devil's advocate, when you look at the interceptions he got, who did he get him against? It was all backup quarterbacks.
Well,
you know what I mean? So, and listen, you don't control that. You only play against who you play against. But at the end of the day, he does perform. He might not be the biggest big play guy. He is very consistent in his play, no matter what the competition is against him. So, I mean, I'll and like I said, that's just to play devil's advocate. Like, you can make a case for it, and that I mean, so I do think he should have been on that top 100.
Well, let me argue with you just a little bit here, because now when they say when in Rome, do what the Romans do. Me being a corner, I have to speak cornerback. I watched this kid, man. I watched this kid from the day he got to Chicago, playing in the 3-4. They did a lot of bump and run in the system that he was in. So he was used to puppy dogging. Puppy dogging meaning playing trail technique and running with receivers all the way down the field. And he wasn't playing in a whole lot of zone coverage. Unless there was some kind of blitz call, then they'd get him out of zone so he can react up to the ball. But the primary defense, the base defense that he plays in is a zone defense. So getting used to that concept more times than playing one-on-one defense takes a little bit of time, and I could see him struggling with that in the first year. The second year, he started to get it a little bit, but he wasn't taking advantage of opportunities. Remember when he was getting his hands on balls and wasn't making interceptions, and they told him, once you start, taking those plays away and turning that ball over, you're going to probably get your contract. And so that this last season we just saw is when you saw that growth. And so, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I always look back at Nate Vasher. He got 7 interceptions in 2006 because there was a lot of defensive line pressure, right? He was just at the right place at the right time. And then throughout his career, he never matched that number. So that's one thing. It's like those interceptions did come once we got Montez Sweat.
Boom.
So that's one thing, right? But the other thing is Nomad, kind of like you're saying, me personally, that's one of those positions that, like, I give 3 years minimum to just get comfortable and start panning out, right? Like, you look at guys play cornerback for a lot of years in this league, but sometimes they do have a big learning curve when they first come on. So for him to actually show up in year 4 and start making the plays he did is according to schedule, in my opinion. And I think the best from Jaylen Johnson is still yet to come.
So here's where I am on all this. So this is a very interesting conversation to me. I think Jaylen Johnson is one of the top, easily should have made this list. Being snubbed off this list speaks to something else. It speaks to how poorly the Chicago Bears have fared in the NFL over the course of the last 10 years. I don't believe it has anything to do with Jaylen Johnson as a player at all. And why I say that is that the reason why, and you just alluded to it there, Paul, the reason why Jaylen wasn't getting the interceptions before was because there was no pass rush. There was no hurries. There was nothing in a quarterback's face to prevent him from just dicing up the defense. And generally, when he's dicing up a defense, it's going to the other 2 rookie cornerbacks and not at the number 1 receiver because Jaylen has him covered. Now that there's actually a pass rush since Montez Sweat has been here, there's hurries. People are worried that somebody's breathing down their neck is gonna put them in the dirt. Now that ball's getting tipped up. Now it's in an odd spot, and it allows Jaylen to actually play freer and break on the ball. That's what was missing these past few years with Jaylen not getting the interceptions that he easily secured this season. But I think it's a bigger thing. I think the bigger thing here, and I'm loving it. I know Jaylen's hating it, but it's cool. I'm loving it. I want the whole bloody league to underestimate this team. I want that to continue.
They are.
I love that, right?
Hey, I got to point something out, kids. There's a video out there of Jaylen working in the off season, and just go to YouTube and type in Jaylen Johnson's off season workout, and there's a video out there. He's shirtless, and he's doing a technique that is very, very difficult. Takes a lot of stamina, and to be really good at it, your feet have to be. You almost have to be. Your footwork. Let's just say this: your footwork has to be excellent. That Jaylen Johnson that I saw this offseason is a different Jaylen Johnson that I saw his entire time in the Chicago Bears uniform. I'm telling you, watch that video, and it's hard for me to describe to people, but I'm telling you, I saw Jaylen is going to be elite this year.
Yep.
I'm knocking on real wood right now. If Jaylen remains healthy, Jaylen will be in that top 100. Not only that, he's going to make another Pro Bowl, and he's going to be talked about as one of the top corners that he thinks he is, and I know he can be. I'm telling you, Jaylen Johnson, that technique that he was working on, the side-by-side kind of shadow coverage, stand in phase, I'm telling you, look up that on YouTube, and anybody that's played DB at any level is going to know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. Jaylen's going to be really good, and it's going to be hard to beat in coverage this year.
It's also situational football too, right? So like when you put those teams in positions where they're down and now they're pressing, well, guess what? Now you're more likely to make a mistake. So as the team gets better, the opportunities for those defensive backs grow drastically, right? And as the other defensive backs around you get better and more solidified, which I think we have now, you're more likely to, like I said, I think maybe he didn't get many targets thrown at him. Well, because it's much easier to exploit Kyler Gordon or whoever else. You know what I mean? So Why would you throw it to the number one corner? Okay, no, we'll take the easier route. But when other corners are also out there making plays, now it's just like, okay, I might as well throw it to my best guy, even if he's covered by their best guy. And so, like I said, I think the best is definitely yet to come for Jaylen. And if he was left off this list this year, I don't think he will be again next year.
Me either.
You know what, man? I've seen guys that get paid like Jaylen did and just kind of rest on their laurels. Next thing you know, they're in Punta Carta or whatever the fuck that place is in fucking Honolulu taking big-ass vacations. That cat was working. You know why? Is because he knows that the cup ain't full. And he wants to prove that he's the best cornerback in the league. That's what's on his mind. He's out to prove. And you want guys with that kind of chip on their shoulder. The fact that they snubbed him like that just adds fuel. It just adds fucking fuel to an already motivated guy.
Well,
He's happy, but I'm telling you, this dude's got a chip on his shoulder. And I'm telling you, he's going to be hell to deal with this year.
The whole bloody team's going to have a chip on their shoulder, man. And that's what I'm trying to say. I'm loving the fact that mass media out there is completely downplaying this team. Some folks are saying, wait a minute, what's going on in Chicago? It's pretty crazy over there. They made some massive moves, number one pick, top wide receiver, 7 wins last season, lots of defense. Like all those things come to play and they're sensible and that conversation exists. Other folks are like, they're the Bears. Right? Like I'm just being real. At this point, man, it's
cornerbacks get tired of that, kids, man. We're different creatures, man. We live off of being edgy and being, we want to be slighted so we can go out there and have something to play for. What you say? What you say? You said what?
Yeah.
That's kind of attitudes we have, man. Like all you need is just a little bit of something to feel slighted as a cornerback. And that's when that cockiness kicks in.
And Nomad, to your point, like we always talk about, a lot of people sit there and they'll go off like Madden ratings. Oh, well, look at what this guy's rated in Madden. Well, there's unmeasurable statistics out there, right? There's motivation, which is something you mentioned. This guy's been working all off season. There's leadership. There's locker room presence. There's your ability to teach the people under you. Those things don't have a number on them, right? So if you know, you know. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, you don't. And apparently the league doesn't know. So, yeah, I think Jaylen brings a lot to the table. But like I said, just to play devil's advocate, not necessarily saying that, I believe this 100% or whatever. But when we were talking about like what his value is contract wise, I thought it was $16 million a year, but you're going to have to overpay him a little bit based off the situation, $1 million or $2 million a year. And boom, look, he gets $18 million a year, right? However, the top corners in this league are getting 21, 22 million a year. And I thought like, hey, if Jaylen's going to want, to be the top paid corner, I don't know if he'd be worth it. And so that's where that conversation comes in of, okay, well, so how many cornerbacks are better than him? You know what I mean? And things like that. So does he crack the top 100? Yeah, in my opinion. But then again, my opinion might be biased a little bit. So, man, he's definitely took it a certain way, though. And that motivation, man, that's going to just boom.
All I know is Sauce Gardner better not be in fucking front of him. I haven't seen the list. But all I know is that motherfucker better not be in front of him.
Oh, come on. Of course he is.
Sauce Gardner is over fucking rated.
You think so?
Absolutely.
So
he had a splash.
I'm actually kind of in agreement with you on this. He reminds me of Tariq Stevenson, to be frank with you. He's very physical and he gets a lot of positive calls. I don't get why he gets some of the calls he gets. Very handsy. Should he be on the top 100 list? Yeah, he should be. He's very good at what he does, but again, very handsy, gets a lot of positive calls. I don't know.
Sauce Gardner had no business in front of Jaylen Johnson. Jaylen Johnson has he's good, he's good, but he ain't Jaylen Johnson good yet. I'm telling you that right now, but you're going to find out. They will expose his ass. So,
with that comment that Scottish Bear just said, I think Poles gambled and JJ won. To be honest with you, I look at it as a win-win.
It is.
I think Jaylen's happy, and I think Poles is happy because, like I said, I wouldn't have given him top cornerback money, but I think we paid him accurately. And me personally, from what I was thinking, like if I was in this situation, what would I be comfortable with taking a cap? I think the deal was right on. And so, yeah, I think it works out for both sides, to be honest with you.
FFG just hit the nail on the goddamn head. That's what people need to consider. He doesn't have to cover very long.
Nate Vasher, man.
He doesn't have to cover very long. He's got a top 5. Thank you, FFG. That's exactly it. And so when the defensive line ain't getting home and he's got to cover for fucking 7-8 seconds, how good is he?
And just like
used to that.
And just like I said about situational football, when you put teams in a situation where they're down and they're pressing, it also works the other way. Look at the 2022 season. We had no line pressure. Our leading sacker was our safety, Jaquan Brisker, in 2022. Yeah. So if that's the situation you're working with, yeah, that's a big thing to ask for the entire defensive backfield to do. And so, man, yeah, when these guys are put in better situations, there's definitely going to be better success.
Very interesting comments, right? If Sauce has a top 5 defensive line, again, that makes his job so much easier. He can be locked down all day long. That was what was missing for Jaylen. Jaylen did not have the same level of defensive line as you're saying. If Jaquan Brisker's coming up from the secondary to get those sacks, those 2 sacks, right? Like that's crazy. At this point now, we have a little bit of a difference on defensive line now. I think that's going to affect how the secondary plays. And I think, man, we'll take the Sauce Gardner conversation and throw it in the garbage. I think we have probably like one of the best secondaries in this league, like definitely top 5 in my opinion. I don't know who else would be in that list, but the collection of humanity back there is pretty disgusting, and I see them only benefiting from a snub like this. Work harder, stay hungrier, get at it.
Well, my guy Paul has another video when you're ready.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add one more comment real quick. Guys, why offensive and defensive linemen are just easier to scout? Because they're the only real positions on the football field, other than maybe some special teams, that don't necessarily rely on another position. Right? Like if you're a lineman,
good point.
On either side of the ball, you do what you do. right? Whereas if you're a corner, you kind of rely on defensive line pressure. If you're a wide receiver, you rely on your quarterback. If you're a tight end, you rely on your quarterback. Like there's a lot of balance.
To a purpose, I guess.
The lines, boom, they just go at each other, and you got to do what you got to do. I got to block this guy, or I got to get past this guy one way or another. And so, it just, like I said, it definitely speaks volumes to what you guys are saying. Like defensive line pressure matters a lot for corners to have success in this league.
True. The only time that flips, Paul, is sometimes when they're lucky, you got a good secondary, good linebacking core. You get a little bit of extra time as a defensive lineman to get home. Let's say your second move didn't work, but they're covering up shit behind you, and you might get that extra. So you keep coming.
So the quarterback holds the ball an extra second. Like it's so true what you're saying, right? I didn't really clue into any of this until again I started watching my kid, and he's getting his hands up. So now just a simple thing is you got an edge rusher coming at you with his hands up. You've got to put the ball in a funky area, right over him, around those arms, which again allows you to break in the secondary. So now I start seeing these kids in the secondary picking balls off, and I'm like, holy smokes, that was 100% caused by the defensive line. They just happen to be in position to get the interception.
Yeah, that's why they say it's a game of inches, man. It is.
It is.
All right,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Producer back there. Let me get this off the screen.
Oh,
right there.
Bears on the catch here by Sweeney. And that sure looks like a catch. They hit.
Call that a hospital ball.
He's thrown some good balls. They've been end zone. Touchdown, Chicago. He does an excellent job. It's a stick and go like we saw earlier. And, just a lot of blown coverages.
Nice.
J2K Designs is at it again. That intro is awesome.
Yeah, the intro and the outro, man, he does some great work. And so I thank you guys for, introducing that relationship for me with him, because, I mean, he has done wonders for me. I told you when I was on last time, I was like, you got a good designer here, man. Like, that guy knows what he's doing. He's really, really, really good. So, yeah, thank you guys for playing both videos. That, like I said, that was just a quick little recap of the preseason game one. So,
man, what stood out to me is how decisive that guy was in that video. He absolutely ripped those balls. He knew exactly where the reads were and where to check down. I mean, that's what you want. For a quarterback, I don't care what you're the second, third quarterback, you need a guy that can come into that offense and is decisive in his reads and rips that ball when he sees where to take the ball to. And that's all you saw throughout that whole video. So great fucking video, man. I liked
Yeah, super cool. Just reminded me how sick those how sick the catches from Colin Johnson were, right? Like, I hope his special teams value gives him a place, finds him a place on this team, because I think at 6'6", if somebody gets hurt, there's a massive target to hit. Keep it going.
Yeah, I just, dude, that's, you see, when you have, you got to remember this, guys. Remember, all the stuff we're talking about today is all about the offensive line, it not being what it needs to be, the depth, blah, 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 blah. We were talking about the exact same thing at the beginning of last week before they played this game. And what did you see when you came out there? Clean operation, clean execution. That's what you saw. So that's why I say that, don't hyperventilate about this whole thing. Don't hyperventilate. They got a couple days to get this all cleaned up. And sometimes that's all it takes. Get the operation clean. The installers in day 2, installers in day 3. And next thing you know, it starts to kind of come together. And so, yeah, we said that FFG, Tyson Bagent might be in trouble. I'm just telling you. I said that. We haven't seen a rookie yet. Now, we haven't seen him a whole lot. But when we start seeing him, let's see if he operates the same way.
Yeah, I don't. Go ahead, Paul.
I don't think Tyson Bagent has anything to worry about because, like, in my opinion, the preseason, especially game 1, where now we have 3 preseason games across the league. Like, this is the additional 4th. I mean, you're looking at, just going out there. And I think throughout preseason, what you're looking for is, you're pretty much evaluating the depth pieces mostly, and you're looking for guys not to make mistakes, right? I think when guys make big plays, that's great and everything like that. It is preseason, but what I think stands out more is when guys mess up. And it's like, if you mess up in the easiest situation, what are you going to do when it's, time to go? So I think that stands out more than actual positive plays and whatnot. Listen, Tyson, for me personally, anytime throughout my entire football watching history, I've wanted a quarterback to just do one thing for me. 4 games maximum. I think after 4 games, you're asking a lot from any backup, right? And out of those 4 games, just win me 2 of them, right? So if you can win me 2 out of 4, I'm good. And Tyson Bagent did that. So in my opinion, he met the bar, he met the expectation. And so, like, I think he's solidified himself based off what he did last year. And, like, hey, if we got a quarterback 3, that's looking good too. Cool, man. I don't know if he makes the roster or not, or the practice squad, but, like, I don't think he takes Tyson's job per se.
I would only offer this as just to have, because we're doing a podcast, just to have something to think about. Number one, this is a new offensive coordinator. That guy, I can almost say 100%. Tyson Bagent was Getsy's guy. True, Paul, he did come in and give you a certain amount of something and prove that he can play in this league. Yes, true that. That's 2 things that's going on. Third is they went out and grabbed another quarterback anyway. And I would assume that this is this offensive coordinator's choice of backup QB. That guy, now, that being said, let me say this. It's going to come down to a couple of things. It's just going to come down to, do you want to have a guy that has a full year of experience? I'm not even sure if it is a full year of experience in your system, as opposed to a guy that played a year in another system, but is in his second year. What are you more comfortable with? This guy that knows your system in and out, this guy that you just seen on this video, or the guy that you gave that got you a few wins last year playing in another system? I think that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to be about the comfortability of the offensive coordinator. Who's he more comfortable with? A guy that's coming off his rookie season, playing in another offense, or a guy that knows his offense in and out, coming into another year of it? I think that's going to be the choice.
Yeah, and like I mentioned last time I was on with you guys, like Jamar Chase on the Bengals during practice when they first drafted him, they said this kid couldn't catch a ball. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. And then preseason, he had some drops too. And then regular season came around and he was balling, man. So, like, to me, what you do in the regular season matters so much more than anything else. And like I said, Tyson got the opportunity, and I think he made the best of it, and I think that's good enough for QB2. Let me throw a wrench in this, guys, because somebody mentioned this to me when we were doing our show the other night, and I thought it was really, really interesting. Somebody said, watch, Tyson Bagent's going to be on the Raiders next year.
Yeah, he probably will.
I can see it, man. I can see it.
We said that for a couple of months.
Have you guys? Okay, I didn't know, but that's a very realistic scenario because I think the kid is good enough to earn an opportunity somewhere to start. And if Luke Getsy doesn't bomb and lose his job this year, if he's still there next year, one of the reasons he might have for any type of failure would be, well, look, I got Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, right? So I can see a move being made.
It's realistic because backup quarterbacks tend to follow their coordinator where they go. If you look throughout the league, that is as common as you can find sliced bread in the grocery store. You backup quarterbacks tend to follow the system that they were brought into. So if they spend, people don't realize how much time these coordinators spend with these quarterbacks and how much investment it is to get them what you see on the field. It takes a lot of investment and time in those guys. I'm talking about not just in the facility at home. They're calling, hey, I was just looking at this play. And I've been in my quarterback's room while he was doing it for an hour. And he said that happens every night. And so they put a lot of time into him. So to Luke Getsy, I promise you, he's probably a little more valuable to Luke Getsy right now than he is to us. And that was surprising.
That's where things get sticky, right? So I'm glad you guys brought up the Raiders and the Getsy case scenario because that's really where my head's been. This, once you bring up Tyson Bagent, fact of the matter is, just going off of what you were just saying, Nomad, I think his value to the Raiders was this season with Getsy there. Let's be real, guys. Getsy won't be there next year. We'll be surprised if Pierce is there next year too. I'm just throwing out real stuff here now.
He might get 2 years though. He might.
If they have a successful season in Vegas, he would get 2 years. The fact of the matter is they don't have a quarterback worth his weight over there. So if they don't tank, they're going to have 2 solid years of mediocrity. And it's probably the best possible year for a tank case scenario for the Raiders. So I don't expect either one of those coaches to be there next year. I hate to say these things out loud, but here I am on a show saying them out loud. That's just how I see the Raiders situation. I think Bagent would have been the best situation for Luke Getsy, except maybe Aiden O'Connell's good. The verdict is still out on that. I'm not sure if he's bad or good. He was just a rookie last season and a later draft talent. So a little bit of time for him to develop. We'll see if he's decent this season. But as far as Bagent's value to us, if he gets the opportunity to play again and has success again, he's an undrafted rookie. He's had reps at quarterback. They can trade him for anything, and it's a bonus.
And I agree.
Look at FFG, and we gotta be real quick about this because we gotta do some house cleaning, kids, with your show.
I wouldn't be surprised. That's why I'm saying this season is the Tyson Bagent to the Raiders season, if at all.
I mean, he has signed, through 2025, but you're right. If they don't have success, they'll probably draft a quarterback. But I was going to say exactly the same thing. Like, if it's keep Ripon versus, letting go of Bagent and getting a 5th-round pick, I'll keep Ripon.
Me too.
Right? Yeah, for sure. So, that's where the value ends. And so it's not a bad situation that your QB2 and QB3 are, pretty close. It's all right.
Tell the Nudge, the medicine.
I have no idea what Hat Alberta is, but it sounds funny.
Tell the Nudge Medicine Hat Alberta's football team is the bomb.
All right, man. Listen, I gotta get real transparent with you guys. We've been transparent all night, but this is extra transparency right here. Why? Is because we work really, really hard to get the Superflex going and get you guys an opportunity to play in some fantasy football over here at the Nomad Network. It's gotten off to a little bit of a slow start. The free league, there's people in that, but if you're able and willing, is all I'm asking. If you're able and willing and want to play some fantasy football, would you do us the favor today or the next day, while it's the beginning of the month where everybody got a little bit of money, and sign up for the Superflex show? Please sign up for the Superflex show. All you got to do is go to the website. Right there at the top of the website. The website is right here at the bottom here. And we can take that ticker down. We can see it. The website is the-nomad-network.com. And let me fix this screen right here so everybody can see it. And hold on. There we go. The-nomad-network.com. And you will see everything you need to see. And all you got to do is hit the link on that site, and it'll take you through everything you need to do. And basically, let me break it down for you. Basically, you're purchasing a shirt to be involved in a league. It's the easiest way we can do it to streamline the process. We're not trying to gyp you into buying a shirt from the website. It just happened to be the easiest way after a whole lot of deliberation. It was the easiest way for us to do it, to streamline the process to get you signed up to play in the league. And so that's how we set it up. We're not trying to overcharge you $60 for a T-shirt. We wouldn't do that, but that's the sign-up fee to get involved, and so that's how you get your free T-shirt. And so everybody understands that. If you have it and you are willing, please sign up and be a part of the Superflex fantasy show. If you got $60, man, we'd love to have your participation in it. It's gonna be fun, because everything we do over here is fun. So just sign up. Go to the website right now if you have the money and you're willing, and just sign up for the Superflex show. It's at the-nomad-network.com. I'm going to thank you in advance, and I'm going to predict we'll get at least 3 people in the next 24 to 48 hours. Hopefully, I'll see your name in there. But go ahead, kids. Hey kids, before you take off, I think it's FFG just threw something I hadn't thought about it the whole time you, me, and J2K were talking about this. He's saying, can we buy a hoodie instead? And I'm saying to myself, why the fuck not? If that's what you want instead of a t-shirt to sign up, I don't see why not.
So no. Here's because of the buy-in case scenario. Right. So the idea is, again, basically we want you to have a t-shirt. If you want to buy a hoodie too, holla at us FFG. We'll give you a discount on a hoodie if that's what you're trying to say.
You can't say that. It's easier to give them an option to buy that instead of a t-shirt.
I can't, because again, I don't want to change the dynamic of what the buy-in looks like. That's the only difference. Right? You don't have to change the optics. They'll just know by us telling them that if you don't want the t-shirt and you want the hoodie instead, you can get the damn hoodie.
Like, from my experience, and I'm not involved with this at all, so I don't know, guys, but I know like a hoodie costs more to make than a t-shirt does, right?
About that simple.
So so I would expect that price to go up if I wanted a hoodie.
Well, just for this. Okay, I'm just gonna be quiet and let y'all go ahead.
You probably should, because you're not making any sense.
All
I'm just saying I did the math on this. If I was going to incorporate a hoodie into the league, the price point would be about $15 more for the buy-in. It would be a $75 buy-in. I actually worked this around 3 or 4 different ways. Initially, I was going to go with $100 buy-in for the league. That was it. We just give you the T-shirt. But then we got into the question of how do we process payment and things along those lines? How do we actually get the money so that we can redistribute it back as prize? And that was really where things got a little bit sticky. So there's a set amount of margin in between where we can fit a T-shirt in, and I can actually prize you guys out at that $60 price point. Again, FFG, we love you, brother. If you want a hoodie, holler at us. Get at me or Nomad on Twitter, and we'll do something special for you. Just because, first off, you are awesome. You're at just about every one of our shows, and we respect that. So get at us, let us know, and we'll hook you up. But outside of that, Nomad pretty much laid down how she all works. All you got to do is go to the website, click here, and away you go. You're right off there into into the purchase of the shirt, and that's all that matters, right?
Let me speak because I just want to make sure J2K, I definitely show him some love here because it's a lot of people saying J2K got you all right. You're absolutely right. He did. J2K was selfless in his efforts to make this what it is, and so that you guys can come here and go on this website and be a part of this thing that we're doing over here. He made it pretty much streamlined and he did it, out of the goodness of his heart, man. So no matter what's going on, I'm going to always have a certain amount of love, respect, and appreciation for J2K and what he brought to his table. That motherfucker is talented. He knows that. And I tell him that all the time, and he knows how much I appreciate him. And so just because you don't see him here, don't take that a certain kind of way. He needs time to do what he needs to do. He needs to spread himself out and do the things that he wants to do and he's passionate about. Didn't want to get too overly immersed in what we were doing here, and I totally understood it. Spread your wings, my man, because he's really fucking good. He's a professional fucking graphics designer is what he is, and it comes through in the work that he does. So I'm going to say this again. I definitely appreciate him, and I always will. Came through at a fucking time that we needed it, and didn't ask for a damn thing. He just was like, hey, no matter what do you need, just tell me, let's do this. And so respect to that man.
Yeah, and just to add to that, like from my experience with him, I mean, he's been such a blessing for us because, doing everything from editing and making videos and stuff like that, like I only have so much time to do certain things. So, it's not that, I don't have time to necessarily brand the channel and things like that, but I understand the value of that. And like, he purely did it because we're Bears fans and he wants Bears fans to enjoy a better product out there from, anyone he can help. And yeah, he's been very selfless, and I'm hoping to advertise for him. And, one thing on my channel that like we don't like to do necessarily is advertise much at all. Like for the longest time, it's been you click play and we're talking football because personally that's how I prefer it, right? And so like, but based off the amount of stuff he did, it's like, man, I will advertise you every which way I can because there's so much appreciation there. Like you said, he is a professional graphic designer. He does some really, really solid work. I hope to get some some customers his way. And yeah, he's been wonderful. It's been so good. I can't say enough. And Nomad, like to begin with though, like the reason why I even got in contact with him, I was like, hey, last time I was on, he played a little couple second out clip of my logo spinning around and stuff like that, and then after the show he said, hey, you can have it. And so I went and I used it for like 2 weeks on all my videos. I reached out to him and said, hey, if I could thank you in some way, if I can maybe make a video to premiere on the Nomad channel or something like that. And then I figured out that he had moved on from you guys, and he was on to different things, and he was just there for a short amount of time just to help you. Then I was like, oh man, I don't know if there's anything I could do for you J2K, you know what I mean? Because it's like that's my way of showing appreciation. But I still wanted to make sure I came on here with you guys, and I want to make sure I do it again and have a video or two ready or something current just to show you guys the appreciation and the love and the respect for making that possible. So appreciate
you know what's dope about him. Is what you said earlier when he just wants to pour into the Bears community. He sees the Bears community as something that he can help. And I just so happen to be a pit stop during, that process. And, whoever, and it's going to be a lot of people, and he's building his own brand to do it, and he should be. All I'm going to say is, and he knows how grateful I am. He'll tell you, he might not. We had some little differences, but, he'll tell you how much I'm grateful of what he did over here and how much all of us are. But, I always look at it as, it's a season for everything. And J2K had a season here with us, and it definitely benefited us. He'll have a season with you. He'll have a season with other Bears content creators. And, that's just the way he wants to be. He doesn't want to get too overly wrapped up into one thing, and he misses opportunity to do others. And that's just
like you said, Nomad, he is a graphic designer, right? So like you said, let him spread his wings and let him go do his thing, for sure.
That's it. And he's very good at what he does, right? So that being what he does, can only do so much in one place. He's gonna actually have a lot more to do and say and show, as he moves forward. So I don't, you guys, I don't want to beat the horse to death. I do want to say though that
he deserves that respect, man.
I'm just saying you guys are doing him justice. I just want to say that guy's my friend. I really like that guy. He's my West Coast guy, and I appreciate everything he's done for this channel and for Superflex as a whole. None of the Superflex stuff would exist without J2K, except for me and my big mouth. I suppose is probably the only other way to look at it, but. The guy's a great human being and a fantastic graphic designer. So I just want to make sure that he hears that from my mouth as well.
Yeah, I told him I owe you a shot, I owe you a beer, and I owe you dinner. Like all three. Check, man.
I already told him if he doesn't tell me what he wants to drink, I'm gonna send his ass some Malort.
Yeah, right.
You don't want that. Though.
that might say something the wrong way.
Yeah, K wants an IPA somewhere and probably a bag of some good old vegetables.
Yeah, it's gonna always be love over here for him, man. I can't wait to see what he does for the next person, man, because he definitely shifted a gear for us, man, and got us going in the direction we need to be in. And all I'm gonna do is try to, slap some more layers onto it and try to keep going with what he created, man. And I appreciate him to no ends, and he knows it. But that being said, man, let's give some pleasantries out before we get ready to get out of here, kids.
Holy smokes. Yeah. No maniacs. You guys went wild in the chat. Thank you for beating the daylights out of Don Bird. We'll find him on 8 Mile sometime later in the month, I'm sure. Outside of that, give the rest of you guys some love, man. The Nodge, thank you for all the conversions today. I will check with you when I need, when my Euros start coming in. FFG Style, what it do? Leo Factor, good to have you back, brother. Left hand, nice to see you again, left hand. I'll have a funnier comment for that next time. But anyhow, Robert Lee, what it do? Just be. I'm sorry. Scottish Bear, man. What's cracking across the pond? Daryl Gibson, you out there? You with us? How's it going, Daryl? The Bears 85 was here today. Our guy Paulie from Bearski Film. Thanks for representing, Paul. Thanks for bringing us with the awesome videos. And shout out J2K if we didn't shout you out 3 times already today. One more shout out for you is definitely deserved. Bruha, my guy in Canada. What's cracking? Well, who else we got out there? Got to be a couple more heads I'm missing. Definitely said King Booker on the intro. I'll say it on the outro. Rajneesh Omar, Rajneesh. Got to give Rajneesh big love, man. He's always out there repping our stuff, Nomad. You should see him out there. I love my guy Rajneesh. Plank, Sheep Plank, Ian 16, or is it Land 16? I think it's Ian 16. Ant Moss, Ooh, I think I'm running out of humanity. Oh, Juku off the dub. And Bear Truth 9, Robert Lee. I think I said Robert Lee earlier on. And now I'm just repeating myself. Oh, and Mark. It's cracking, Mark. Good to see you out here for the first time. Oh, Biggs. Biggs is another guy I didn't see. I haven't seen. Thanks for showing up, Biggs, and representing. Jason, thanks for showing up and representing. By all means, like, share, subscribe. You guys who are new to the show, STC, I see you out there. And hey, man, it's been 2.5 hours of good old Bears fun. Thanks to Paul for jumping on with us as well. And Paul,
thank
you want to close things out, man? By all means, throw out some pleasantries, brother.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate you guys so much, especially Sunday night. It's nice to be able to relax and talk some Bears and just get together with all the people in chat and whatever, and share some of our thoughts. So, man, you guys are really good. You guys are great. Nomad, hopefully in the future you'll send me some of those beats, and then I'll make a video for you guys using your music and whatnot. So yeah, appreciate everybody. Appreciate you guys for having giving me the opportunity to come on with you. Appreciate everybody in chat too. So yeah, you guys are great.
Beats coming right on up, man. I'm gonna have a much clearer week this week, and yes, it's coming. Trust me when I tell you.
I'm all about the music. I got a busy week in front of me though, so we'll see what we can get done though for sure.
Okay, we don't have to get it done right now, man. We got we got 30 days, 35, 34 days until, man, we got time. Don't worry about it. But I'm gonna execute on that plan because if I'm anything, I'm a man of my fucking word, and I will give you that music. Don't worry about it. Listen, I got a message for you guys. I want to say thank you first before I do anything, and say all you guys in the chat. Maybe, I don't know if you mentioned Charles Johnson, my guy Jason.
Oh, I missed Charles. I said Jason. I missed Charles Johnson.
Mike Pavlovich. He is listening to the show and watching.
Oh, I didn't see Mike.
He also gave us a generous donation. I don't know how much, and doesn't even matter, but he was a generous donation. He could not. And one of these days, he's going to enter the chat, Mike. And this community, I'm gonna tell you how dope they are. He's trying to figure out how to do a super chat. I'm gonna tell you right now, Mike. The minute I see you in here and you say, "Hey, Nomad, it's me," I'm gonna say, "Chat, make sure he understands how to do a super chat." And I guarantee you, they will walk you through it and make it easy for you. So that's all you got to do is get in the chat, and they'll show you firsthand on how to do that, so you don't have to write a check or do money orders or anything like that. If you want to donate, you'll be able to do it that way. This community is great like that, and they will show you exactly what to do. So telling you, come on in the chat, Mike, and they'll show you exactly what you need to do.
Hey, before you shut it down, Deuce One FX, I know you dipped earlier, but I also know it's your birthday. Happy birthday, dog. I totally forgot. Happy birthday, bro. Although I did send you $20 and said happy birthday earlier on. Hopefully you're drunk, and that's why I forgot.
Happy birthday, Deuce, man. Hey, listen, I want to get this off to a positive note, and I get this. I'm trying to remember. Somebody on Twitter was talking to me, and I believe I just can't think of his name right now, and I'm apologizing to you ahead of time. I'm sorry. I'm just having a brain fart right now, but somebody asked me, no matter what you do to keep up the positivity. And I'm going to do just that all the time. And we're going to do that on this network. And I just want to leave you guys with a short story and to tell you why change is absolutely necessary in today's life, in your life, period. Listen, I wasn't always this positive guy. I've always been positive, but I didn't always stand behind in action, the change that I wanted to see. And so I'm going to tell you how it started to happen. And you guys partially heard some of this. I was a guy that was, after I left college, things didn't go well for me in college. Later, my second semester of my freshman year, into my second year of college, things didn't go right for me. And I ended up not being in college after a while. And, after it took me a while to get football out of my system, I didn't know what to do with myself. Because that's the only goal I had. There was no plan B. There was no plan B whatsoever. Football was it. I was going to the pros, and that was going to be it. Had the skills, had the entire repertoire of what I need to do to get there, didn't understand the politics of the NCAA. And it cost me, and that's what not having the right male leadership in your life will do for you. And so this story I'm about to tell you real quick is about that and about change. And it was a time in my life where I wasn't always doing the right thing when I left school. I got into the streets. I got into all the stuff that comes with it, all the trappings of the streets. You imagine it, I was involved with it in some way or another. Didn't do nothing to unalive anybody, just to be clear. Didn't do any of that kind of stuff. But in as far as, I'll just say, I participated in some street activities. And what happened was I did it to a point where I was having dreams, man. And it was dreams that I don't know that everybody can relate to this, but it was like dreams where you're not really sleep, but you sleep. It was like subconscious was just really getting on me. It was wreaking havoc on me. And it was like almost like a grim reaper was coming after me. And I was awake, but I'm actually asleep. And I'm trying to get away from this creature or this being coming towards me. And I couldn't get away from it. I'm sweating like a dog when I wake up, and I'm breaking out of that dream, and I come back to reality. And I was like, that's too close for comfort.
Must
What
have
it
been some
was,
good shit.
yes, it wasn't any of that. What it was my subconscious talking to me and telling me, dude, you need to change before you go down this road so far that you can't come back from it. And looking back on it, I know that's what it was. And so probably 3 weeks after this, one of my homeboys gets a job working with these kids. And they were abused kids. I mean, all kinds of abuse, physical and the other kind of abuse, all the stuff that you would imagine. And he was just like, hey man, listen, I might be able to help you get a job out here. And I'm out here trying to find a full-time job while I'm doing street activities. And I wasn't able to get it. That was just a whole bunch of part-time jobs here, part-time job there, temporary job here, temporary job there, never getting me where I wanted to be. And this job that he was telling me it was available was for low fucking paying wages, but it was full-time with benefits, which was all I was looking for. I was just like, all right, I'm gonna go do this job and do it for a few months, 6 months, and I'm gonna try to find something better. So I take this job, and next thing you know, I'm immersed in this environment with all these little kids, from 11 on down to 5. And these kids are in all kinds of different shape. And I mean, when I say that, I mean, all I had to do was look at the first file of the kid that they implore you to go in and read a file and find out what kind of kid you're dealing with. And this is at a time in my life where I was pretty pissed off at myself, pissed off at the world, and complaining about my life and how bad it was until I read that file. Until I read that file, I had no idea how bad life can get for someone, you know what I mean? And how fortunate I was to grow up and not have to endure some of the things that happened to those kids. And from that point, the light was turning on. And so here I am about 6, 7, 8 months into the job, and I get tasked with the job of this kid that was very, very close to me. And I'm so busy disciplining, teaching, and just trying to help these young people that I'm not realizing my presence and impact on these young people's lives. And so I'm charged with taking him to his foster home and dropping him off to his foster parent, and that's where he's going to live. And so I'm doing that. I take him there, drop him off, have a little dialogue with his foster parent, talk to him a little bit, and thinking everything is cool. I just walk out, and next thing you know, he's in this big old picture window, plashing on the window, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy, don't leave, Daddy, don't leave me, Daddy." I'm no relation to this kid. None whatsoever. And so what I'm getting at is, at that moment, That was the change that I didn't know was coming in my life. I ride off and I'm trying to ignore it. So I get 2 or 3 blocks down the road. I drop them off up in Chicago Heights. And I'm leaving that place 2 or 3 blocks down the road. I have to pull over into a Walgreens and I just start crying my ass off. I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That moment in time told me everything about my future, but I didn't know it. It was change. It was me realizing, coming to the realization after that interaction that this is your presence on somebody else's life. This boy thinks of you that way. I don't have any kids. He's not my son. No, it doesn't matter. You're changing. And this is your change. He has told you exactly what he thinks of you. This is a person that didn't have any of that in his life. You're talking about kids that were taken to the United Center in exchange for favors of the worst kind you can imagine at 5, 6 years old for crack. These are the kind of kids in the environment I'm dealing with. After that, there's no going back. There's no going back. The dawn in my life came there. The change in my life came there. And if I was going to be that person that this kid thought of me as, that means, I don't want to get choked up here, but that means that I had to change everything about me right then and there in my life, because I wasn't giving up. I wasn't going to stop doing that job. It just turned me on and made me want to give more and more of me in order for these kids. This is how you look at me. And I have to stop doing that shit that I was doing before and look at myself in the mirror. So what am I saying to you guys? Everybody wants change in their life. Everybody knows the pitfalls of their life. They know what's wrong in their life. But the hardest thing for a person to do is look at that person in the fucking mirror and say, in order for me to get to the next phase in life and get to that change that I need to get to, I need to face that motherfucker in the mirror and get rid of him so I can get to the next part. You got to bury that motherfucker. Whoever he is, if you want to see some change in your life, it's not going to happen until you face the person in the mirror and bury that individual and get to the change that you need for yourself. So you're your own leader. That leadership that you're looking for, that example that you're looking for, is the fucker in the mirror.
And you know what the result of that is, Nomad?
What's that?
Man, I got an angel in my life too. And that's what the result of that is. You become a person that, helping somebody else is just the extent of that. It's unimaginable. So, I got my own story, but let me tell you real quick about my cousin. So I have a cousin who I'm not related to. And when she was 3 in Poland, her mother got caught smuggling drugs in her shoe. So she would put the drugs in the 3-year-old's shoe and whatnot. So when she finally got caught up, they deported her to her father, which he was over here, right? And he was an in-the-closet alcoholic. And my aunt, and I call her my aunt because that's just who she is, but she's an angel, man. She dated this guy, and one day she showed up at his apartment to surprise him and found out that he wasn't in the closet alcoholic and that this now 5, 6-year-old child is not in a good position. And she did everything to adopt her. That's why she's my cousin, even though she's not related. Same lady is the same person that sponsored my grandfather off a newspaper ad to be able to come here. It's the only reason I'm here, because this lady stuck her neck out for somebody she didn't even know. And because of that, my grandfather was able to come here, make some money. He was able to drag my grandmother and my uncle down. And my mom was able to argue for me to come here on a 6-month visa to visit them. And then there were a couple of years where I was here illegally, but it became legal. Did everything right, but I have nothing but appreciation for this lady because all she did was just help us. She's not even related to me. And so, yeah, when you become that good person, like you're saying, when you look yourself in the eye, I mean, that effect, you don't know the extent of it until years pass, man. It's crazy. It really is.
Yeah. The truth is, man, at some point in your life, you got to be willing, and this sounds drastic, but you got to be willing to unalive the guy of the past in order for the guy of the future to exist. Plain and simple. There's no other way to look at it. You got to be willing to unalive that guy, put him in a hole, leave him there, especially if he was not beneficial to the energy that you want to put out there and portray to the world. If you want to be a positive force in your life and somebody else's life, whether you got kids, whether you just married or whatever your situation is, you got to vibe in the right way. And in order for you to do that, you got to look at that motherfucker in the mirror and say, that part of me got to go, man. It's just that simple. You got to bury that guy first in order to get to the next thing. Period.
And you know what's crazy about all of it? It's like being a little kid here. Like I said, I came here to visit my grandparents. I didn't have a mom and dad for a long time. I mean, I only saw my dad a handful of times after that. My mom came 5-6 years later, and kind of figured out grandma and grandpa and uncle weren't in a much better situation than mom and dad were once I got here. So I relied on making friendships. And then I relied, like, man, everybody's a Bears fan. And so the reason why I have the friends I still have today and everything like that is because that was the way to fit in for me as a kid. And that was for me to be a way for me to be able to grow a family of friends, essentially. I mean, I call my friends my brothers. I've known them for 30 plus years. And man, it's all due to this damn football team. Because just that was the common thing is like everybody's a Bears fan. So, yeah. I mean, just to bring it full circle, that is exactly why I bleed blue and orange, man.
Yeah, man. I appreciate that, man. I really do. Listening to it, we all walk all these different paths, and to get to where we are right now, it's like a maze. But we all found ourselves to each other right here, right now, and that's what's important. In order to move forward, you've got to accept that change is inevitable. And then what do you want to be as part of that change, man? You might have been this person yesterday. That was yesterday. You can start today. Man. And I just want to leave everybody with that, is that it's never too late. It's never too late to exact that change that you want to see. But you can't go out pointing fingers and you haven't even faced the man in the mirror yet. Can't go out pointing fingers at other people and everybody else, and you haven't even faced, it's probably hell in a whole lot of people, even, it used to be hell in me, but, I had to exercise that demon, and it wasn't easy, getting over those old habits, but in order for me to be the person that I am today, that you guys are listening to, I had to fight that guy. I had to fight him. You know what I mean? And once I got rid of him, that's it for him. You know what I mean? But you can't be afraid of that, because you'll never see it if you don't look at it. If you try to avoid it, you'll never get to the next phase. You're going to always be in the fight with that motherfucker. I promise you. But so you might as well face him down now and go through what you need to go through to get to the next point. You got to bury that guy or that girl or whoever it is. You got to bury them in order for you to exist moving forward, because you're going to need that.
Or that season.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So that being said, I want to say thank you to everybody. I hope that touched somebody and somebody got something from all that. I didn't mean for it to be that long, and I appreciate Bear Ski right here for sharing with us, Paul. I do appreciate that, man. You didn't have to do that, but I appreciate that sharing, man. That goes a long way. Sharing is caring. I mean that, and that's cliche, but I believe that's 100% the vibe that I am at. Sharing is caring. So I just try to tell you guys, I know I'm not a visual personality on this show, And me not being that way, the best thing I can do is give you a little insight on what kind of person I am as a human. And I hope I did my part in that tonight. And I, again, thank Paul for being so generous with his sharing, because he really didn't have to do that. But with that being said, I want to thank y'all again. Let me see who I see in this chat. Just B, Leo, FFG, Scottish. Let me see. Yeah, those are the people I see, but I appreciate all these people that I didn't mention, man. Don't think I don't give a fuck about you, because I do. I love you. Everybody that's a part of the Nomad Network and a part of this community, thank you for being a part of it. And we will see you Tuesday. And I don't know moving forward exactly what days we're going to be having shows, but look forward to some stuff. And I'm going to follow through with Bearski Film, and hopefully we're going to put a dope-ass video together. I got a concept for you, Paul, that I want to work with, but I'll talk to you about that later, man. But with that being said, I want to say thank you one more time. But I got to leave you with these famous words that if you can think it, you can see it. And if you can do those two things, it's all up to you about manifestation. Just manifest it and get the fuck out the way. That being said, we are out. Peace.
Peace, Country Santa.